Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 6th round of the 2026 GPVWC Super League season. You join us here in Canada today at the Circuit Zeeuw Villeneuve, a real staple of this sport and a track that is beloved by drivers and fans alike and should be the stage for a very exciting race this evening. With Remco de Zeeuw behind the cameras, you join myself, Ross McIntyre, Ed Hunter alongside me in the commentary box. Ed, we're coming up to almost the halfway point of the Super League season. The championship starting to kind of build a picture now. Obviously, there's been a few changes here and there, but overall, the season's starting to settle down. Here in Canada, though, it can always get a bit spicy.
Yeah, and let's not forget 3 different winners from the last 3 rounds, of course, as well. So we are in a little bit of a interesting moment in the championship, of course, with obviously Luc Mounier, a reigning champion, with 2 wins to his name. But didn't have a great race last time out, where we got taken out effectively by Lucas Murno, which I don't think he appreciated, but still got 3 points from that round. So he is leading by just 20 points over our latest winner, Sergio Fletcher then. And then we've got Jan Grankvist, who also missed the previous round. I believe he's back for Montreal, and he was our winner here last season as well. So plenty to look forward to. And of course, Holland Racing Team with Milnek and Martin looking very, very good, leading the teams table over Valet, with our reigning teams champions THR down in 7th and 9th in the drivers respectively, scoring no points with either, well, actually no, Tom Stevens had to miss the race, so it was Matthias Maika who filled in and scored 4th position, didn't he? With a very impressive drive from the poles. So yeah, they've got a good reserve driver at THR, but Stevens is back, and so too is the Time. So let's see what they can do.
We'll have to wait and see, of course. Going into this one, similar to what we saw last week, after it all kicked off big emission. The man 3rd place in the championship, the 2024 Super League champion, Jan Grankvist, has dropped out of this season due to personal issues he was having just with the season in general.
That's right,
and I'm sure no, of course. I'm sure that he'll be back at some point in the future. Maybe not this year, but certainly here in GPV. But of course, that means that Super Venturi, obviously the team boss, is gone, even if he's still there managing the team behind the scenes. But you know, one of the best drivers that we've got in GPVWC, we're not expecting to see anymore. So that now blows the championship wide open and does mean that even with that poor round last time out, Luc Mounier does have that 20-point advantage in the standings ahead of Sergio Fletcher. So it is all to play for and could all be changing here today as well in Canada. We're just coming up to the end of practice before we jump into qualifying. Before we do that, why don't we take a little trip around the Circuit Zeeuw Villeneuve. Let's go on board this week with Tom van der Voort as he shows us how to master this classic track.
Hello everyone, my name is Tom van der Voort. I drive the number 47 Drake racing car. We cross the start-finish line, going up to turn 1, braking hard. Don't let the car run out too wide here, because then the radius for turn 2 will become much smaller. It's a big traction zone, try to keep the direction as big as you can. Moving up to the first chicane, try to take as much curb as you can get away with, it will gain you a lot of time. Small kiss on the wall there. Moving up to the next few corners to another big braking zone, difficult corner. Don't try to hit the inside curb too much. And then another difficult traction zone, easy for the car to get away from you here. DRS open on the smaller back straight. Braking hard under the bridge. Once again, don't hit the anti-cuts, they will upset your car. Run it wide all the way out, then up to the most difficult but most important corner on the entire circuit, the hairpin. Brake hard all the way back to 2nd gear, slowest corner on the circuit. And then floor it, maximum traction to get as much speed for this back straight as you possibly can. DRS open here, going all the way up to 8th gear and 330 kilometers an hour. Big opportunities here, difficult last corner, the chicane. Flick it in right, flick it in left. Don't hit the wall of champions, I've never hit that because I'm not a champion. And then across the line, and that's 1 lap of this beautiful technical circuit. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you'll support me during the race as well.
A very short and sharp lap around this place, only 4.3 kilometers around this track. Well, I say only 4, that is actually quite a lengthy stretch of racetrack, or just coming up just a touch over 2.7 miles in old English money, but it's very fast around here, Ed. Only the 14 corners as well, lots of high-speed sections. Obviously, we've got this monster back straight as well. It is a track that you often see a lot of engine upgrades coming in. We're seeing that coming into this round as well. So as there is, well, an attempt to I'm not really sure what's going on there in the background, but it's the end of practice, I suppose. So we're seeing upgrades coming in. The first steps of upgrades making their way, and engine upgrades coming in as well. This place, it's all about just making sure you scrub off as little speed, as little momentum as possible across the course of the lap in order to get that time down as quick as you can.
Indeed, it is. As you say, it's quite the momentum-based track with really that long back straight into the final chicane being kind of the major, you would assume, passing zone, of course, with the sort of top speed being relatively different between some of these cars, but also being able to travel over the chicane. And then, of course, we've got the rest of the lap, which has several sort of high speed to sudden sort of low speed braking zones into chicanes essentially. So yeah, that final chicane will be a prone overtaking spot. The first corner as well, because there's effectively two mini kind of DRS zones effectively in between the two, and you might even see one or two moves, maybe even into the hairpin at the end of the lap as well. But you'd have to someone have to go very, very wide on entry for that one to sort of work in terms of leaving the door open. But yeah, qualifying to come. And of course, the last time we were here a year ago, it was Alessandro Maggio in a sort of wet to dry session that took pole position. And he's taken a couple of poles already this season, most notably at Jeddah, I think most recently. And yeah, I think it was Jakob that was on pole last time at Sepang, if memory serves. There he is, right at the end of the pit lane for True North, who've got a special livery for, I believe, their home racer course, Canada being in the north of America. So it very much makes sense that Carter McColeman's team have decided to get out the glitter and and put it all over the car. So the usual red and white machines are now red and blue.
Well, I'm sure they'll be hoping for a good race. I'm not sure if Norbert Jakob will be having one, because I apparently seem to curse him every time I'm in the commentary box. Whenever I'm not here, he always does really well, and whenever I am here, he ends up in a wall somewhere. So let's see if we're going to get spin but or win but once again in this one as he gets out on his outlap. Of course, as always, a private qualifying here in GPVWC. It's just about what you, the car, can do. There's no interference from everybody else, even though everyone is out there on track at the same time. It's basically like running a time attack session within R-Factor 2. There's no traffic, there's no getting the toe off for somebody else. It is as pure as it gets in terms of just testing yourself and the car underneath you. Let's follow Jakob then as he comes towards the final chicane to begin his first flying lap. Of course, it'll all flash up purple on the bottom of your screen. Again, that's just a quirk of R-Factor 2. We don't really know who's going to be fastest until we get to the end of the opening lap. On board with the True North driver as we make our way into the opening couple of corners. Get that wheel nice and open. You want a straight line out of turn 2 as much as possible. Then a short, sharp run into 3 and 4. Quick chicane over there, get it very wrong and meet the wall. It's a very old school style circuit here at Canada. It's been around since the 60s and the 70s, so there's not a lot of runoff in a lot of places, mainly because it's in the middle of a forest, essentially on a man-made island that was built back for the 67 World Expo, I want to say. Now into the next chicane. Again, lots of quick chicanes in this middle sector. Then we come up this bending straight that some people classify as a corners. Let's be honest, it's not, is it, in a modern Formula car? Then the final hairpin. This is potentially the most crucial point of the circuit, because if you get this wrong and compromise your exit, then you're going to be down the whole way along this straight. Looks good from Jakob though so far. Shortest way around there, all the way to the wall as well, getting the thinnest air possible, pumping through that engine to get the less drag at the most. Then coming through the final chicane, doesn't quite touch the wall of champions, but gets very close, kicks up a bit of grass on the way through as well. It's going to be a 1:11.057 as the initial lap. Dylan Fisher, who has been very, very quick in qualifying this year, sets the initial benchmark with a 1:10.787. That is 0.2 quicker than Maggio, last year's pole sitter, as you said, Ed. So early doors with the bankers. Looks like Fisher is quick, but Mark Schluter currently on a decent lap as well. Yannick Bock up into second place now. So the Lunar guy setting down an early benchmark as Schluter makes his way and does kiss the wall of champions. So this lap will be down. He'll have plenty of time to come back to the pits, get that repaired and go again. That is a very, very interesting start to this qualifying session, Ed. And I don't think anyone was expecting it to be a 1-2 from the bankers from Lunark.
Yeah, of course, Yannick Bock, former double champion, isn't he, in Super League? And he's only done about 3 races so far this season, but is in 2 of them has finished in the top 8. And then we got Dylan Fisher, who took his first pole at Monza last season, then was signed up at Lunark, who of course have got big links to THR, if I'm not mistaken, as well. They all tend to sort of practice together. So, yeah, Fisher has been upping the wick as of late, and while his results this season have been a little bit up and down, it's been in the top 10 I think twice, once in Japan and most recently he took P7 in Sepang. But there's always a sense that Dylan Fisher has got a little bit more to offer. He's brilliant in qualifying, and some of the race results are sometimes not quite as flattering, but I think there's definitely a lot of potential from Dylan Fisher, and he's shown it not just here, but way back when I was first commentating, I think in 2023, when he was runner-up to Owen McGorgy in Superlights as well. So, yeah, Fisher, very, very impressive. And as you say, already they've got the early banker laps ahead of Maggio's reigning champion. Moynier slots into P8 just behind Lucas Murno, the man who he made, Lucas Murno crashed into him. I think there's no 2 ways about it. So he'll be hoping Murno's got a group penalty or something as he starts alongside him.
We'll wait and see. I believe Murno does have a penalty going into this round, actually, now that you mention it. It might be a good idea just to pull the penalties up very quickly so we know what we're expecting. We'll run through all the upgrades and things that we're getting coming into this round as well when we get up into the warm-up session after we go through the highlights of the previous round. Of course, yes, Lucas Murno does have a 12-place grid penalty from a previous incident that has not been served yet, so he'll have to, that's from the last round of Malaysia, so yes, as you said with that incident, so he'll be doing that. Vasquez we're not seeing out yet in the session. He has a back of grid penalty from Bahrain, so of course the man who's been effectively decimating Superlight so far this season, making another start in Super League this evening in place of Jorge Marquez, but he probably won't be going out in this qualifying session. Just try and save the engine. There's no point running around when you are going to be starting at the back. Those are the only 2 grid penalties that we've got coming into this one. And as I say that, actually turns out Vasquez is out anyway. May as well get some testing done and see what the pace is looking like for the Sparks Nix driver. And as well, given that his teammate, of course, leading the championship, the reigning champion in the form of Loic Mounier, currently sitting P8. I'm sure he'll be wanting to move up a little bit further up the grid. Now Maggio, 2 purple sectors, very, very strong through sector number 1, but gets it a bit too deep into the hairpin, does well to recover, but that could scupper him all the way down this long and winding back straight where the start-finish line used to be, of course, on the initial layout of this circuit. Final chicane to go, attacks the curbs with full velocity, bounces his way over them and all the way over to the wall as well. A little bit too deep maybe on the exit. What's it going to be from Maggio? It's only going to be 4th place. It was down in the final sector, but still within 2/10 of Dylan Fisher. It's a Lunark Valley top 4 with 8 minutes and 30 to go, and all of them covered by 2/10 of a second. Really interesting dynamic here. We know that Maggio's quick around this place. Yannick Bock, of course, we know how good he is. We know how good Sergio Fletcher is, and Dylan Fisher, a driver who has had a pole position before and is continuing to improve round on round. So it seems to be, as I say, that Maciej Młynek moves up into 3rd place to upset the apple cart. It seems like the Lunark and Valor guys, at the moment anyway, in this qualifying session, do have that slight advantage.
Yeah, and it's interesting as we're watching Maggio really, especially into their hairpin there, as we see Sven Schubert attack and just get very close to the wall of champions as he goes over the curbs there. But great first sector here. Can he get into the top 12? Well, there he is, just behind Carlos Martin by just a couple of thousandths of a second there. But yeah, we're watching Maggio, all spectacular, but lose just a little bit of time in the end, taking 1 risk too many, whereas Sergio Fletcher was just hooking it all together, neat, tidy. Fletcher, maybe a little bit less spectacular to watch, but he's able to get the time out, and he's been having a brilliant season so far, of course, winning last time out at Sepang for the first time in his Super League career as well. And Valle, a team, is one of those teams that certainly had their issues last season, but they've really, Fletcher especially, has been really able to show a lot of that potential that we didn't quite see as often as we'd hoped to last season. And the Maggio, of course, as long as he can get over some of his the more technical problems behind the scenes, we know he can deliver on track. Martin improves 1 position, or no, he stays where he is in P11, just ahead of Schubert then, but not quite able to match Moynier, who's just half a tenth ahead of him. Simon Frelick now goes P11. Frelick was not making particularly positive noises going into this one, so that's good to see him just outside the top 10, showing slightly improved pace, because he basically said that he'd not done a whole lot of practice and didn't feel very quick. But Jarl Tyen now hoping 119.6 in the first sector, 22.3 in sector 2. So let's see if he can tie this one together, Ross, and get into the top 4, top 5.
Well, one final turn to go for Jarl Tyen, last year's vice champion in Super League. It's not been the best season so far, but he does stick it onto provisional pole by 600ths of a second. A really tidy lap. There's a little bit of time left on the table in the final sector, but Tyen starting to flex some muscle and show what he can do behind the wheel of that THR. Now here comes championship leader Loic Mounier. It's not a great middle sector, may well abandon the lap. We'll wait to see if he makes his way into pit lane, and indeed he does. Wasn't happy with that one in the Sparks Nix car, so he'll be going again. Decides to just smash it into the pit wall as well. Of course, you are allowed to press escape and go back to the pit lane once you are in the pit lane in qualifying. If you press escape back to the pits at any point during the race, that is a DNF, and of course, if you do that while you're out on the circuit in qualifying, that is classed as a DNF as well. If you then rejoin the track, you will be given a very hefty penalty going forward. Maggio now up by millimeters in sector number 1. It's getting quicker and quicker and quicker as the track rubbers in. This is one of the tightest qualifying sessions that we've had all season long already, and there's still just a touch over 5 minutes left on the clock. Maggio looks like a good exit there from the hairpin and onto the back straight. Very strong middle sector as well. 1/10 and 200ths up on the current session. Best throws his way through the final chicane and gets it a bit wrong. Does touch the wall of champions. Is there going to be enough in it to take pole position? No. He misses out by 0.5 That's due to that last minute mistake. It's a corner that makes or breaks your lap, and it's the last one on the track. And of course, there is that infamous wall right there to punish you if you push it that ever so much too hard. Lucas Murno, again, that 12th place grid penalty, so he'll currently be starting in 22nd place. He's currently P10 though, and has gone purple in the middle sector as well. Ed, we're seeing it every single lap. It's just getting quicker and quicker and quicker.
Yeah, rubber being laid down on the track, so the track is getting quicker, and so too, drivers taking more risks, as you saw with Maggio there. So just missing out to time on that run by 0.5 of a second, essentially, as we see Murno also tap the rear right tyre into the wall of champions. But this could be an improvement. It sees him go up to P8, displaces the returning Tom Stevens then. So yeah, Murno, even though he's got the grid penalty hanging over him, if he can give himself just a little bit less work to do come the race, you can overtake here, but ideally you do want to be starting higher up the field, essentially. And yeah, what a difference a year makes. A year ago, Jarl Tyen, I think, was starting right at the very back of the field and had to make his way through up to 9th, I think, over the course of the race, from, I think, 28th or 30th on the grid, somewhere like that, as we see, Stevens getting some real air over the curbs and avoiding the wall of champions. To the line he comes. It's P5. Brilliant final sector there to displace Norbert Jakob. 67 thousandths behind Sergio Fletcher then. So Stevens getting a good lap when he needs it, and this is looking like a very, very good qualifying session for THR so far.
It is indeed. Maciej Młynek up very, very slightly, though, in the middle sector. Comes through the final corner, does clip the wall as well, but it looks a lot cleaner than some of the other runs that we've seen. To the line goes Młynek, goes P5, displaces Stevens, who went there just a moment ago. And with under 3 minutes now left on the clock, time's ticking away. Drivers are going to be getting ready to prepare their final lap. It's down in the middle sector for Dylan Fisher, who did lead this qualifying session early doors. Gets it a bit wrong into the hairpin as well. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't abandon this lap, because then it's going to be tight for him to make it to the line as well, to go around for one more. So I'm expecting Fisher to go straight on here in the Lunart car, and indeed he does. He will get himself ready to go out for one final effort, see if he can take only his second pole position in his time in GPVWC Super League. Schluter now down in sector 1, but very, very fine margins once again. It's so tight out there. Every single inch matters. Now up into the purples in the middle, but again, it's only by 0.04 of a second. So tight out there as he makes his way down the back straight. His eyes will be glued to the Delta because he needs to decide if he wants to finish this one off or bring it into the pit lane, and again, brings it straight in. He's seen the Delta go, not worth it. May as well come in for a fresh set of rubber and go out for one final effort. Alessandro Maggio, if he abandons, where he is on the track, actually, he may not have time to go again. It's going to be very tight. So he may have to stick out this one. He's down in sector number 1, the driver currently on second place on the timing tower. And it wasn't a great run through that chicane either. So Alessandro Maggio may have scuppered himself here, because I don't think he's going to have the time to come back out. So he either goes again after this lap, or he just has to stick with it and deal with it, because it's not been a particularly strong lap from the Valle Esports driver. Took pole position here, of course, last year. We know how quick the Italian can be, but he is not going to have the time, so he's going to have to try and find it one more time on a bit of a worn set of tyres. This is it then, Ed. 1 minute left to go in this session. There is less, well, 600s, quite frankly, covering the top 3 out there. It's down to P7 for 2/10. It is really tight out there at the moment.
Yeah, this is, of course, the track where Maggio also in the race took his first Super League podium as well. It was one of the main bright spots last season as he absolutely slides it through 3 and 4 then. Now up towards 5, 6, and then turn 7 as well. And this is looking a little bit more, 19.7 to 1. It's very tight there, so not too far off of his personal best, as now he's attacking the middle sector. Plenty of curb used there, but just keeps the wheels off the grass. We saw Schluter using a lot earlier on his abandoned attempt. I think Carlos Martin has just got into the top 9, 111.0 for him. So that's going to be the HRT man's, Holland Racing Team's final effort. Purple in the middle sector there, showing for Maggio 22.3. So it is all or nothing, do or die, into the final chicane and that run to the line, Ross.
This is as tight as you want. Gets very aggressive and smashes it into the barrier. Maggio will not be improving on this final run. That was a huge hit into the wall, and just goes to show how hard these drivers are pushing it up to the limit and then beyond. Jakob, it is a slight improvement overall on his personal best in P7. Let's see if he can maybe slide in front of Tom Stevens or Maciej Młynek as he brings it to the final chicane. The scene of the accident from Maggio a moment ago. Much more gentle over the curbs there from Jakob as he gets the shortest run to the line. Is it going to be an improvement for the Hungarian? It is, but it doesn't knock him up a place. No, in fact, it does. He goes P4. Great final sector then from Norbert Jakob. Now Maciej Młynek with a brilliant, blistering middle sector, but it was down big time in sector number 1. Keeps it out of the wall. Can the HRT driver make a miracle happen as he comes to the line? Goes second with a brilliant 1,000th away from Jarl Tyne. How close do you want that to be? Szymon Frelich will stay in P15. Maciej Młynek, though, as Owen McGorgy decides he wants to be taken to hospital at the end of that disappointing qualifying session for the TOP group. But Maciej Młynek, how tight do you want that to be? My goodness, that is an incredible end to that qualifying session. I think we're not going to see anybody else displacing anybody major out there, Ed. 1,000th in it between pole position and second place.
Yeah, there we go. And Młynek, it was that first sector that let him down 2/10 off Tyne, so he really almost got all the time back, but Tyne's time just enough to give him pole position by the slenderest of margins then. So yeah, the Norwegian will be pleased with that, his first pole this season.
He will be indeed. Last year's vice champion, who's had a pretty rotten run of luck and form so far in 2026, is back onto pole position. It's saying Alessandro Maggio's gone to second for some reason, but we did just see that it was Maciej Młynek by 1,000th of a second off completing the front row. Row number 2 then will be Alessandro Maggio P3 and Dylan Fisher in P4. It will then be Norbert Jakob in P5, Tom Stevens in 6th, Sergio Fletcher 7th, Yannick Bock in P8 with Javi Roos 9th and Mark Schluter. No, actually that's incorrect. It's saying that Carlos Martin is P10 on my live timing. Not entirely sure what's going on with the graphics. We'll work it out as we go along. Yeah, Carlos Martin, there we go, P10. Not really sure what's happening. 11th place is Lucas Murner with Moritz Kropp in P12. Loic Moynier is 13th. A disappointing qualifying from the championship leader, with Shipman Frelick in P14, 15th is Sven Schubert, 16th Owen McGorgy, 17th Philip Pushka, 18th is Jase Lattinen, 19th Eros Musculi for Adonis Engineering. Then we see Che Hatch in 20, well that'll be 21st, or is that 20, no, 21st for Eros, yeah, Che Hatch, there we go, getting there in the end. Jose Soriano's 22nd, Jeffrey Fournier in 23rd, Thomas Vac in 24th, then it's Tom van der Voort, Jukka-Pekka Laulu, Aaron Vasquez, who will be starting from the back. Juho Soppinen did not set a time in that session for Lion GP. Standing in, of course, for Thiago Melo this evening. So, despite the fact that our Factor 2 graphics decided to not tell us what's really going on, the story of the day, Matej Munich, if that Sector 1, Ed, was better by literally a millimetre here or there, he would be on pole position. It goes to show that when you are competing at the very, very top level of sim racing, the margins are absolutely nothing. And it goes to show how good everybody is, how tight it is out there as well. And even in two different cars, with two different update philosophies going forward, it can be as close as that.
Yeah, well, Milnek has been very, very impressive, not just this year, but last year as well. I think he was runner-up behind Grankvist here last year, held off Maggio in the closing stages. And, of course, he won earlier this season in Jeddah 2, was 6th last time out in Sepang. So, definitely, Milnek will be a major, major threat to tie in here. But, yeah, THR versus HRT. Versus Valle will be a good little fight. And Dylan Fisher, who impresses in the early stages, will have to start P4, but still there could be a best result in a long while on the cards for Lunark as well. So lots of big stories to keep an eye on for, but I think those top three, Tyne, Milnek, Maggio, are probably going to be where most of our attention is focused on those early few laps then. But yeah, could be a couple of runners lower down that try something a bit different to try and get themselves up the order, because as I said, Montreal is a track you can overtake on.
It certainly is, but as we get into our warm-up session, why don't we take a trip down memory lane to 2 weeks ago? Let's remind ourselves what happened at the crazy, crazy Malaysian Grand Prix as we get ready for this evening's race in Canada.
Hello everybody and welcome to GPVWC, and for the first time in 7 years, welcome back to the Sepang International Circuit. Plenty still to come though, and remember, the majority of these cars haven't raced at this track. We get underway and there was a slow start for one of the THRs at the back, the lights catching us out because we couldn't see the back of them. Look at Alessandro Maggio holding the inside line, heading up to turn 1. McGorgy took a look, he's up the inside of Sergio Fletcher. Maggio holds the lead, little bit of a touch on that front wing of Sergio Fletcher's car, and that's Mark Schluter who's on the outside and has the run, so Schluter's going to get up to 3rd place now. Loic Mounier's made up a position, he's going to make up another one. They're 3 wide for 3rd position now, 3 wide with Mounier on the inside. What a start there for the Spark NX sim racing driver, as Loic Mounier goes from 6th on the grid to 3rd position on the first lap. Did he jump it and stall? Lights go out and he just bogs down. I think he got some anti-stall there. Now we complete the first lap. Maggio continues to lead, followed by McGorgy. McGorgy is gaining though down towards turn 1. Maggio goes defensive. He may be off the drier line. McGorgy tries to go right around the outside of him. That's going to turn into the inside line for the second corner. Owen McGorgy takes the lead of the race on the second lap. Now we look for Loic Mounier to see if he can benefit from Alessandro Maggio, who may have got off his line and lost that speed. Whoa, right over to the inside of the circuit. Mounier nearly run out onto the grass. Frelick is up to 4th place now, past Schluter. See, sometimes the DRS enables right, even when you think that it wouldn't. Oh, as Frelick goes right over to the inside of the track, he did actually have the DRS there, and he goes up into 3rd position. The rain is sticking around, but it's staying light. My race view, the site that I'm using to keep track of this kind of thing, is still saying it's at about 2%. And look at that dive from Matej Munich up the inside of Matej Maike there, goes through. And Loic Mounier finds the cleanest part of the track by sailing through into the lead of the race. Runs
And I think Munich is well outside the DRS range of Maggio currently, which means Schluter and Maggio have only themselves to battle for now. So yeah, as we see Frelick very close to the back end of McGorgy there.
Mateusz Majka is trying to line up Loic Meunier. Now remember, Majka was the only driver who pitted onto those soft tyres, and they both try to go through on Frelick at the same time. And they're three wide in the middle of turn 1, and look at Meunier up the inside of Majka. Oh, a little touch there as Frelick comes back at him. Majka has made a move on both of them.
But it can still happen as Lucas Murno goes for a dive bomb and hits Loic Meunier, loses his front wing, and I think that might be both of them out there.
We're going to see a replay of it. This is on board with Lucas Murno. You can see that he goes for a dive bomb maneuver. Whoa! And he's only going for one position there and just completely misses his braking point and goes into the back and into the side of Loic Meunier, and then they get tangled together. And now we're going to see the battle for the lead of the race, and this actually is the lead of the race now, as Mateusz Majka goes through, Mateusz Majka goes through and takes the lead of the race on those soft tyres. And up in front now is Sergio Fletcher going around the outside of Owen McGorgy, and they're both right on the tail of the race leader Mateusz Majka as it all comes together. The accordion effect in full swing now, and there's going to be a change for the lead. Fletcher, who's just got past McGorgy, is going to go for another move, and McGorgy comes back at him up the inside, and oh my goodness, gets on a damp patch. They're three wide, they're banging wheels. Contact one way, contact the other. We got Frelick on the inside, McGorgy's on the inside, Schluter's on the grass on the outside. Frelick comes back through again, one lap after his massive twitch. Down the straight into the corner, and this is not normally an overtaking opportunity. You certainly could dive bomb someone here, and we're probably going to see it on the last lap of the race, but the trouble is, if you do that, they're going to get you straight back again onto the straight. So now is where you want to make that move. You can see McGorgy going over, everyone follows him. Frelick now makes the move, so takes a look out to driver's left. Oh, gets a little touch in the rear from Mark Schluter. Frelick is still there on the inside. McGorgy will do well not to turn in. And Frelick does go through past McGorgy. Oh, we got somebody smoking their engine, and Schluter's trying to line it up. Side by side up in front, Frelick and Schluter for second position. Schluter goes for second and gets it. In the background, Jakob gets McGorgy as well. It's all change, as we've seen so many times this race.
But I think we turn our attention to this. There we go. Fletcher making a quite comfortable move on Mateusz Majka down the back straight. On a fresh set of softs, that is Majka on mediums, but as Majka and Schluter have pit, he now goes into P1.
Absolutely, and that is the move for the net lead of the race as well. Sergio Fletcher goes through to the lead.
Yet again, staying that slipstream to double it with the DRS and triple it with the battery to try and catch him. So Majka's engine, if he stays behind McGorgy as he gets almost wiped off, he gets past McGorgy.
Slipstreams, possible push to pass if he's got any left. Up the inside he goes, and Dylan Fisher does make that move for 7th position. Well done from Dylan Fisher there.
Never mind, a bit slower on the exit of the penultimate turn, so he will have to wait for the turn 1 hairpin now.
And he dives! And a really late move, and he goes through on the inside, but that of course leaves him very vulnerable on this straight. Majka may have a chance to come back at him. They're going on to their final lap of the race now. I said he'd have about a lap to do it. He's done it slightly early. Masciuli's also pulled a move on McGorgy. We'll get to that in a minute. Back around the outside goes Mateusz Majka, and Maggio sticks with him but twitches. Oh, a little bit of a rub of wheels on the exit of the corner. He's still got the inside line. Majka does go back through, and that's the problem with making the move at the final corner, because then you have to hold it for the whole of the next straight, and Maggio tries to sell him the dummy and go up to the inside, but Majka holds him off, and now he's got the rest of the lap to try to do the same thing. Meanwhile, Sergio Fletcher becomes a GPVWC race winner with a fantastic drive. I said earlier that it wasn't just a strategic performance, he also had to keep it on the island in some truly terrible oh my goodness, and it is a last lap dive there, last corner dive from Maggio, and he's gone too deep. Mateusz Majka gets underneath him. Look at Winnick there as well, but it is going to be Mateusz Majka who comes up to the line in 4th position. Fletcher wins it, Schluter second, Jakob third, so a double podium for True North just 2 weeks after the first podium of all. Loic Meunier there, 13th, so recovers some points despite his accident.
Well, a pretty chaotic race last time out in Malaysia, to say the least, and it gears us up for what should be a very entertaining evening of Super League action. If you are just joining us, you missed one of the craziest qualifying sessions of the season so far earlier on. We're just coming up to the end of warm-up now with myself, Ross McIntyre, Ed Hunter alongside me, bringing you all of the action from the 70 laps of the circuit Gilles Villeneuve for round 6 of the 2026 GPVWC Super Light season. So going into this one, Ed, we're not far away from the end of warm-up, so we may as well turn our attention to what we're expecting from the race. We understand most teams are going for a 2-stopper. There may be a couple looking for a 3, but I think the 3-stopper, for me anyway, is more of a last-minute desperation play to try and get something else out of this race.
Yeah, especially for those that are lower down the field and maybe feel like they can't get the stint length on the medium or hards in the first stint. They might be tempted to maybe plonk the softs on the first stint so they can make a few moves, make progress up the order, and commit early doors to the free stop strategy then. So it can work, but you do need sort of clear air in order to do it. So yeah, it is very much going to depend. Even the front runners will eventually hit because there's a bit of a field spread towards the back with a couple of rookies in the field and less experienced drivers near the back still coming to grips with the Super League car essentially. So yeah, and of course we've got a lot of upgrades at this phase of the season, so the front running teams will be a little bit quicker than some of the back markers. And yeah, especially over the course of how many laps it is at Montreal. It's like 53, isn't it, if memory serves? Oh no, it's more than that. It's more like 70.
70,
yeah, there we go. 70 exactly. There we go. I remembered it just after I should have said it. But anyway, which is always the way as a commentator when you're trying to remember information. But anyway, yeah, so yeah, we could see a lot of even the front runners may be deciding to pit so that they don't have to lap as much traffic if they're all fighting each other as well in the early phases of the race. So that there's a lot of game theory to play out here. But yeah, certainly if you're Jarl Tyne or Mathieu Millet, you'll be hoping to just control things from the front and sort of pick strategy at your leisure, whereas those a bit lower down will have to take risks that may not necessarily work out in order to make progress.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure, especially as you said, the likes of Tyne, the likes of Winnock will be looking to try and control the race, but Montreal is very much a circuit you can overtake at. This is not going to be a dull race by a long shot, especially if qualifying was that close. Let's get ready for the 6th round of the 2026 GPVWC Super League season here in Montreal. One day we'll get the timing of that graphic correct. One day. The idea behind it was that when we all sat around and came up with the graphic, was that so we don't have to watch everyone awkwardly transport them their way over to the grid. And we've since realised that it's quite hard to estimate when R-Factor 2 is going to do that. But yes, that is right. We are all ready to go racing for 70 laps here. Of course, we'll have our sighting lap, our formation lap before we get going. And we'll run through the grid for you one last time. Just quickly want to touch on some of the upgrades that we've got coming in for the cars this ground as they are now making their way onto the grid. Of course, we've got a lot of engine upgrades coming in. Everyone's gone for the same thing, apart from Vertex. That is the TOP and Sparks group, their engine suppliers. They've gone for an upgrade on power and the MG UK. So they've moved up to Mark II variants on those parts. Everybody else is gone for power and engine mass. So interesting that Vertex are the outliers on that one. We'll run through the grid for you now. I'm sure we'll have time to touch on many of the other upgrades for you across the race as well, because there is a whole host of them for us to dig our teeth into. But as we get ready to go racing for 70 laps here in Montreal, let's run through the starting grid. It is Jarl Tyne, last year's vice champion on pole. Mathieu Winnock missing out by 1,000th of a second. Alessandro Maggio is third. Dylan Fisher, a really impressive lap from the Lunark driver to go P4. Row 3, it's Norbert Jakob and Tom Stevens, with Sergio Fletcher in P7. Yannick Bock, great to see the double champion up into P8. That's one of his strongest qualifyings of the season. Rounding out our top 10 is Javi Rose and Mark Schluter. Schluter with Carlos Martin, a former race winner here in Canada, in 11th. He is alongside the Fraser Tartan car of Moritz Krop. In P13, we've got championship leader Loic Meunier. He's alongside Shimon Frelick with Sven Schubert. In P15, Omar Gorgi starts directly behind his TOP Esports teammate. P17 will be Philip Pushka with Jase Lattinen leading the Super Venturi charge in 18th. Rounding out our top 20 is Eros Masculi P19 and Che Hatch, who I believe is making his Super League debut this evening. Jose Soriano is 21st with Jeffrey Fournier 22nd. Thomas Vack is 23rd. Lucas Murner with that 12th place grid penalty. He starts in P24 for Lion GP. Then we see Tom van der Voort, Jukka-Pekka Laulu, Aaron Vasquez with a back of grid penalty, and Juho Soppanen, who did not set a time in qualifying. So the stage is set, Ed Hunter. The question is it a survive the first lap and then calm down and control the race scenario, or is this going to be one where you've just got to take the opportunities as they come?
Oh, well, I guess we'll see, Ross McIntyre. Well, I guess we could just call each other by first names. We've worked together before.
It's
Ross.
dramatic. It's dramatic.
It's true. It feels more formal, yeah. Like I'm at school again. Juho Soppanen starting from the pit lane, by the way. So he didn't leave the pits during qualifying. Let's hope he does actually get to take part in the race. There we go. So he's looking to avoid the carnage on the first lap. Given the chaotic start last year with Azavi Ross missing the start and then going flying in the first couple of corners, that might be prudent.
It might as well be indeed, but good to see that Juho will be starting this race as all of the cars have made their way into the grid. It's quite a short run down to the opening turn with that right-hand curve as well. It's time to go racing in Montreal. It is lights out and we are underway. Great launch there from Winnick from second on the grid. It wasn't a good launch from Tyne, but he does have the inside into the opening left-hand bend. He will hold on to the lead as there is potentially chaos in the background. Few cars running wide, but looks like everyone pointing in the correct direction for the time being. Tyne got away with a disappointing start there. Fletcher looking to the inside of Tom Stevens as they make their way through the first chicane on the lap. All very, very tight through this section. It's difficult to run side by side. Fisher's dropped a couple of places away from the line. Bit of contact there with those around. That looks to be one of the true norths trying to slide through. Mark Schluter at the team's home race, 3 abreast as they come underneath the bridge. This is crazy stuff as somebody is in the wall. Was that the other Lunart car of Yannick Bock? Indeed it was. The double time champion takes to the escape road, may have damage. There's a big one in the background. There's more drivers getting old. Jase Lattinen looks like he's in it. Somebody else may well be out of the race as well. It is Che Hatch, and I think I saw a wheel going bouncing across the racing surface. Indeed it is. Che Hatch's Super League debut comes to an end before the opening lap is completed. Lattinen will make his way back to the pit lane. So chaos further back in the pack. We've also lost Moritz Krop amongst all of that, but it is Jarl Tyne that leads the opening lap. Winnick in second with Maggio in P3. Norbert Jakob, great start from the Hungarian. He's up to 4th.
Yeah, and that chaos really started because, as we saw at the start, Dylan Fisher bogged down, ended up getting swallowed up by the pack and having to go 3 wide with Schluter and his teammate Bock, and Bock, unfortunately, ending up in the wall at sort of turns 8 and 9, that really fast chicane.
Bock's out now as well.
Oh dear, so that's the second of our that means Dylan Fisher, the sole Lunark left in the race then, so a little bit of chaos thrown into the equation though, but good news of course for Norbert Jakob, who's now up to P4 in the other True North then, and chasing down Maggio. So this is sort of ideal start for Tyne and Milnick, having stayed out of trouble, but yeah, unfortunately for Super Venturi, a horrible start. Both of their drivers hit trouble in the first lap. This is what happened to Paul Moritz Krop into turn 1. Ross, hit in the back by McGorgy, I believe.
Yeah, that's a really, really unfortunate incident for Moritz Krop. I thought I saw somebody going sideways at turn 1. I didn't realise it was going sideways and into the wall very, very hard.
That's Simon, sorry.
Yeah, it is Simon Frelick. It's not a huge tap on the rear, but it's enough to put Moritz Krop down and out of the race before turn 1. Bock and Van der Voort are not, in fact, out of this race. It was saying they were DNF. They had just made their way into the pits, but we have lost 4 on that opening lap. Here is one of the drivers that has retired now in Jase Lattinen. So there was the incident with Che Hatch. So it was Lattinen who made his way into the wall in the Super Venturi. Was able to get going again. Hatch was down and out, driving in at Danny van der Neert's car.
Was that Soppanen that got hit in the back by Lattinen, and then Che Hatch trying to go the inside, loses the wheel in the process. So a very short Super League debut, unfortunately, for Che Hatch, who was doing so well in FS1 for the Hugh Performance team, a podium finisher there, of course. So, well, Che will have to lick his wounds and come back stronger next time he gets the opportunity. But for those still in the race, we actually see Sven Schubert, surprisingly, sets the fastest lap, 1:14.2, right behind Loic Moynier, of course. So him and Moynier fighting for the lower points outside the top 10 here.
Yeah, so some early pace being shown, still some way off the lap record, of course, as you'd expect with heavy fuel loads and the like. That's a 1:10.823 set by Ruven Machete back in 2022. We have also lost another driver in all that opening lap chaos. It was Jukka-Pekka Lalu, so it's a double Super Venturi DNF before the end of the opening
lost
lap.
his front wing in that incident we saw, so he must have come upon it at the wrong time. As you see, is that one of the HRTs trying to make a move there? Didn't see if that worked out. Side by side is that Schluter and Martin. Martin wrestling his way up the inside and trying to get into P9 here. And yeah, surely Schluter will have to back out there. So Martin, who won this race back in, I believe, 2024, now is trying to make his ground up the order. Remember, Holland Racing Team are leading that team's championship. They don't want to see Valet into that lead here.
Certainly do not. Of course, Carlos Martin knows this track very well, perhaps knows this car the best out of everybody with all the testing that he did while the car was in development and all of the setup work that he goes through for the TOP group as well. He is so knowledgeable when it comes to GPVWC Super League and how it all works, and a lovely move by him, using that knowledge to get up into P9 ahead of Schluter. Let's see though, coming to this back straight, DRS of course is now available, got to be 0.7 seconds behind or closer to the driver in front for it to be activated. Not quite the 1 second that we're used to from seasons gone past. Not enough in it though for Schluter, who in fact went a little bit on the defensive there from Loic Moynier behind, who has had a decent enough start to this race, clawed back a couple of positions so far. But there's chaos. McGorgy has come together with Aaron Vasquez, and they're all over the shop. Somebody else's round as well in the background. That's one of the Lion GP cars. Must be Lucas Murno. Is Lucas Murno. Oh, McGorgy's got no front wing. It is chaos here in Canada, and we're not even on lap number 10.
Yeah, I didn't quite see how that started, but I sense a lot of frustration from McGorgy, especially as you saw the way he exited qualifying as well. It seems to be continuing that theme lately of McGorgy just taking a lot of risks to try and get his way up the order, and it not quite working out in his favor. So let's check the replay and see how this played out. You can see McGorgy being overtaken actually by one of the Adonis cars, and then they just tangle, and Murno's kind of the innocent victim trying to stay out of trouble and gets caught up in it.
Yeah, we'll go on board with Murno to see what happened with that one. It was Erasmus Skewley, so they actually touched coming through the left-hander. I don't know if McGorgy kind of ran out of room or Misculi thought he was clear. I definitely think that McGorgy wasn't expecting for Misculi to be there as they went into the corner. And yeah, just two cars converging into a space that doesn't really exist, unfortunately. And look at the avoidance from Aaron Vasquez, who I thought initially got in it, did incredibly well to stay out of that one. The Spaniard, of course, an iRacing star, dominating Superlights and showing he's got brilliant avoidance on his hands as well when he needs to stay out of trouble. But it's not been the best of runs early doors here for Vasquez. Of course, a back of grid penalty. Worked his way up to 15th, though, amongst all the chaos. And he is also out there running on the medium compounded tyre. Most drivers are running on the medium compound at the moment. Only Shimon Frelich is out there on the road at the moment alongside Yannick Bock on the softs. So everyone choosing that tyre, of course, if you're top 15, you have to use the tyre that you qualified on at some point during the race. Another rule change that we've had coming into this year. So presumably if you set that on the softs, you do have to use the softs at some point during this event. But of course, it's a free reign of choice at the start of the race. Yard time has started to extend the gap now. It's up to 1 second, so well out of DRS range from Winnick behind, who is now under attack potentially from Alessandro Maggio, Valet Esports driver, of course. A very, very quick driver, pole position here last year as well, and been running very, very consistently, strongly so far this season. Again, there was a lot of doubts over him, mainly over the ability of his internet to not die, essentially. Of course, we all remember the Maggio internet dramas of 2025 when he went on a 6-race disconnect streak. But so far, the Italian, he's had a podium and a 5th place, 2 DNFs to be fair, but they were unlucky, and it was races where he was running very, very well in. So he's looking to get it back onto the podium, at least in this one, to show what he can do as they make their way towards the bridge section once again. It's all calming down now a little bit at the front of the pack, so your top 10 on lap 7 of 70, you're 10th of the way through this phase, if maths is any good to you. It is your time for a match aim Winnick from Maggio P3. Norbert Jakob leads the True North home race charge in P4. Tom Stevens is 5th with Sergio Fletcher, our last time race winner, in P6. Javi Ross is in P7. Dylan Fisher, he's dropped down to 8th. I'm sure he'll be a little bit frustrated with that race start. Carlos Martin up to 9th, and it's Mark Schluter rounding out our top 10 at the moment. So now we can all relax and breathe, Ed, for a bit. Now it's about managing these tyres. I know it's crazy to think about that already, but it's very much a 2-stopper here in Canada. So you want to maybe take this first stint as long as you can to maybe open up options for yourself later down the line, as that is a switch from the Road to Formula teams. Thomas Vac letting Jose Soriano through.
Yeah, of course, they were just trying to get past Vasquez when all that kicked off with McGorgy and Masculi and Murno all colliding with each other. So that's put them just outside the points now. And Road to Formula, who are not having as strong a season as they've had in the last couple. Of course, they were the Superleague champions a couple of seasons ago as well. So definitely their second season since going up to Super League has not started with too much glory. But they're 2 drivers working together well there. And Vac, who's a former winner, of course, won the Japanese Grand Prix in 2023, if my memory serves me well, in that sort of chaotic race there. So he knows how to win, and he's been decided to try and hold up Fournier to allow his teammate Soriano, who's moved up from Super Lights for this season, to try and build a gap here. So the Spaniard looking to make good and catch up to his countryman Vasquez, who's about 3 seconds up the road. But Fournier, the Frenchman, has certainly been getting the odd points finish here and there, and usually when he does, he's in the top 10. So Fournier very, very keen to make progress for Red Archer here, but they will need to do something quite clever on strategy, I think, in order to clear these 2 Road to Formulas. And at the moment, Fournier stuck where he is down in P18, but as you say, a bit of a lull moment in the race. Tyne, of course, pulling the gap to Milnek shows he has a lot of confidence to push these tyres at the moment. So let's see if that holds, or if Tyne is maybe going for an earlier pit stop than some of his competition.
We'll have to wait and see. Looks like Owen McGorgy has retired from the race after that chaotic incident we saw. He becomes our 5th DNF of the day already. Wow, real shame for him. Back to Forza Horizon 6, I suppose. He's been playing a lot of that over the last couple of days. We do know the TOP squad have perhaps been prioritising their Forza Horizon.
Oh, here comes your cab. Sorry to interrupt, Ross.
GPV. No, go ahead. Up the inside, Norbert Jakob. That's a lovely move from a long way back. And Maggio, who was looking like he was trying to line a move up to get into 2nd place. It is now Norbert Jakob in the home race for True North, who slides his way into the podium places. Nice stuff.
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of more energy used coming out of that 8-9 chicane into the sort of turn 10 kink before the hairpin there. So Jakob timing it well. Maggio, we know sometimes he tends to be really aggressive in the first stint, and it can sometimes cost him as the stint length goes on. So yeah, tyre life always a little bit of a concern, but Maggio over the years has gotten better and better at managing that. He's still keeping Stevens and his teammate Fletcher at bay at the moment, but of course Fletcher has got a great opportunity here to close in on Moynier in the championship. So if Stevens is next to pick off Maggio, will Valle make the call? Don't hold up your teammate too much, because he is 2nd in the championship, only about 20 points behind Loic Moynier at the moment. If Fletcher can maybe sneak onto the podium and Moynier is outside the top 10, that could be nearly a difference of 20 points on its own then. So yeah, there's every chance here that Valle have got a great opportunity here, but they need to use their cars well. Meanwhile, Jakob pushing on to now challenge Milnek for P2.
Let's see if the True North driver can catch up to the back of him. Unsurprisingly, it's a pair of fresh engines for the True North squad. Not a massive surprise, of course, given it's their home race, but Canada is typically a circuit you do see teams bringing fresh motors. It is quite an engine-dependent circuit, And that being said, there's not that many people that have fresh out-of-the-box motors in the backs of the cars this evening. Both Spark cars, both HRT cars, and both Lion GP cars join the True North. Outside of that, it's only the odd driver here or there that does have a fresh motor. We've got a fresh motor in one of the Road to Formulas. I'm going to assume that's Jose Soriano's. And, very interestingly, it's not a fresh motor for Tom Stevens, but our race leader, Jarl Tyne, does have a new engine in the back of the car. So that might explain a little bit about why he's been able to just slowly start edging away from those behind, even though Winnick and Jakob and all that do also have fresh motors in them. But, you know, THR, of course, running fantastically well, as always, with their what am I trying to say? With their Viper engines. There we go. Words escaping me there for a moment. So, that being said, Winnick is starting to look like he's going to be under a bit of pressure. Jakob is up to within DRS range now of the HRT driver, who'll be too far back to launch a move into the chicane, even if he is dumping some of that battery, using some of that deployment to close up. Although Maggio is also very, very close behind him as well. So, again, maybe thinking defensively just a little bit for the time being. And again, also trying to manage the tyres. It's that point where we're starting to think about pit stops potentially. Again, they're still a little way off, but you'll be thinking, okay, what are the tyres doing? Maggio, again, we've spoken about him earlier, Ed. He's a driver that is very, very hard on the tyres. Yes, he's very quick as a result, but it does mean the rubber falls away from him a lot quicker than other drivers around the track. And you can see that there, just how hard he's pushing as he gets all sorts of out of shape coming into the middle sector through that left-hander. So he will be one of the first drivers to box out of this front group. So Jakob maybe doesn't need to particularly worry about him too much, because he knows that that tyre is just going to go away quicker than everybody else.
Yeah, DRS keeping him just about in play at the moment. It's not a situation that Maggio can't turn around, but you're right, certainly at the moment, he's putting a lot of energy through those rears and they could be starting to overheat. It is quite hot out there in Montreal. Air temperature 14 degrees, track temperature 38.7 degrees as well, and no sign of rain. So it's not like Sepang, where we saw Tyne pitting for inters in the hope that the rain would get heavier, and then it stopped and he was just stuck on inters for a long stint. And of course he ended up retiring from that race rather strategically at the end to get the fresh engine, and it's paid off so far as we see Maggio taking a very liberal amount of curb, and this slightly opens the door then for Tom Stevens, who is nipping at his heels, who's nipping up the inside at turn 1, and Stevens through into 4th position. If he can just get it slowed down in time, he can. And now the two valets are right together. Fletcher surely will want to make progress quickly here, and Maggio will need to be sensible here that he doesn't end up compromising both of their races defending too hard here.
Yeah, that's a great move, that, from Tom Stevens. Really, really aggressive on the inside, and managed to get it stopped for turn 2 as well. Nice stuff, using all of that experience that the Englishman has to his advantage to work his way through Maggio. And now, with Maggio dropping positions, you've got to start thinking maybe Valet are on the blower to their drivers, thinking about swapping them over. We'll wait and see if that's going to be the case. Fletcher hasn't looked like he's faster than Maggio at all, but with Maggio dropping down, maybe it's worth having a think about swapping the drivers over, seeing if that's going to help their cause and help them maybe progress up, get more points at the end of this affair. So we'll wait to see if they are going to swap. I doubt they will. I doubt there will be team orders either, to be brutally honest. Valet are very much a team that typically let their drivers race, have full trust in those behind the wheel. It's just how they go about things. It's their philosophy as a sim racing team, I suppose. And again, no one being let through yet, but again, I'm sure that the team will be looking at it. It's looking at the pace of both of their drivers and just certainly thinking about it, as again, you can see there, Maggio is really starting to struggle a little bit into the opening couple of corners. It's when he's getting off the brakes and onto the throttle, the car just doesn't look particularly comfortable and it gets a bit squirrely on the rear. So that's something we need to keep an eye on. Maybe the rear's already starting to go away from the Italian on lap 14 of 70. You'd expect the mediums to go quite a good chunk longer than that, but something that we'll just need to keep our mind on as we continue to work our way around the circuit. Gilles Villeneuve, seems like now's a good time as ever to talk about what upgrades we've had coming into this race. Of course, this is the first race where we really get to see the new upgrade philosophies being brought in. Of course, a whole overhaul to the upgrade in the R&D system in GPVWC heading into 2026. And this is the first time we're seeing it unleashed, where instead of just, you know, you get a better front wing, you get a better this.
Fletcher making the move. And DRS, he makes it quite early there. He had a great run out the hairpin. You can also see Fisher is been picked up by Ross and by Carlos Martin now, who's gotten past Xavier Ross into P7 in the background. So Martin has gone from outside the top 10 to really challenging our front runners here and becoming a real factor. So the HRT man looking to back up his teammate Milnek as he just about gets the car turned in to turn 2 by using a bit of the curb there. So
someone's in the wall.
Oh, and we see Sven Schubert tangling with Vasquez there. Absolute pandemonium at turn 2. Fischer is around, and it looks like all sorts of things happening here. Fischer losing his front wing.
Yeah, that's got big damage to the suspension as well. We saw him in the wall in the background a moment ago, and then there was that chaos as well with Vasquez going round, so it's all kicking off. Real shame for Dylan Fischer, who just seemingly can't catch a break so far in 2026, despite displaying a massive improvement.
Behind him that's hit him.
Was there a touch? Yes. Yeah, there was definitely a touch from Schluter, and then another one as well. It's hard into the wall, just on the edge of the tyre barriers, and then into the Armco as well. Has to do a little 180 spin flick to get it going again. And then, of course, there was chaos just behind him as well. Let's follow what happened with Vasquez. It's with one of the Fraser Tartan drivers in tow. And, Vasquez they both just missed the corner, and Vasquez just goes around. Okay, fair enough. That was Sven Schubert that made his way through. So no contact there, at least. That was just both of them giving it a little bit too much. And, Sven Schubert wasn't really going to make the corner. And then Vasquez went in with way too much speed anyway, and then was trying to avoid Sven Schubert, who wasn't making the corner. So, again, not really anything that's worth a penalty or the like, but just a bit of a silly incident, unfortunately, for the pair of them, and it's cost Vasquez a lot more than it has Sven Schubert in that one. So that does change things a little bit further up the field. So that promotes Carlos Martin into 7th, Jarry Roche to 8th. Jarry Roche, should I say. Logan Mounier's up to 9th place. Mark Schluter now in 10th as a result of that one. I'll quickly flick back to the upgrades before Ed reminded me there was actually a race going on in the background.
Sorry.
Again, I've already done my spiel about all the different philosophies and things, so of course it's all changed. You now get, different kind of marks. You've got your Mark 1, your Mark 2, your Mark 3 upgrade for each of the different parts, etc. And also including things like the pit crew as well. Most of the teams investing a lot into the pit crew. They want quicker pit stops. The only 2 teams that haven't done that is Lunark and Fraser Tartan. Lunark have definitely gone for the most out there upgrade path. They've upgraded to a Mark II front wing, Mark II bodywork as well, which is something that not a lot of teams have been doing. Most teams have been going pit crew, front wing, floor, and chassis are the kind of the go-to. So bodywork's a bit of an out there one, but for most of the teams, especially up the front of the pack where they've got more R&D points to spend, it's been a Mark III pit crew, Mark II chassis mass, Mark II floor, Mark II front wing. A couple of changes here and there, but Lunark definitely have the most out there upgrade philosophy to my eye. So their car, as a result, will drive a little bit differently. Will have a slower pit stop average time as well, because they've not upgraded their pit crew, so that could hurt them a little bit further down the line in this race. Dylan Fischer has, of course, just come in for some repairs and a fresh front wing. He's made his way back out on what seems to be a set of the medium tyres. No, a set of the softs actually for Dylan Fischer, so getting that set of softs that he has to use out the way early, but he's a long way back, of course, now our 23rd and last runner at the moment in this race on lap 17 of 70. So it got a bit chaotic again. Now it's hopefully calming down again, but it's still very, very tight at the front. It's not a DRS train by any means, Ed, because people are making moves, but it kind of looks like one at a glance.
Oh, and there we go. Mounier taking advantage of all this chaos to pick off Xavier Roche for P8 as well. Mounier making his way up the order then, and closer to his closest championship rival, Fletcher, who of course has picked off Maggio, and hoping that his teammate will help defend him from Martin, and now Mounier behind as well, as we look at Schluter recovering from the earlier incident with Fischer, and still now stuck behind Xavier Roche. But the other thing I've been watching was Tyan, especially for the first couple of corners, the rear absolutely sliding out, and he's seen Milnek getting closer and closer, and he's pushing to try and keep him behind and add a range. But like it or not, Milnek and Yacab are coming for him, and Stevens in 4th. The other THR can't really help him at the moment. Tyan has got to do the defending by himself then, and it can be a lonely place at the front when you're defending a lead from 2 very, very hungry drivers like Milnek and Yacab. In this situation, of course, Milnek has won earlier this season. Norbert Yacab has taken 2 podiums, but yet to win so far this season. Looking to continue that strong run of form for True North, 3rd in the last couple of races. You see Martin now is looking like he's having a go at Maggio for P6 in the background, and I think he's through.
Yeah, nice move there from Carlos Martin. Gets
He's
it done
really
well
good down the
before the braking
straights.
zone.
He did this before when he won. He was just so quick down the straights, and he was able to make the moves when he needed to. I wonder if Carlos may be thinking about free stop here.
Potentially got a fresh engine in that HRT as well, and of course the Vertex engine that's in the back of that HRT, that's the only engine that's got an MG UK upgrade instead of reducing the engine mass, so it does give that little extra punch when you deploy the battery as well. But again, as you said, he's always been good down the straight here at Canada. Clearly a driver who likes a lower downforce setup here at the circuit. Gilles Villeneuve using that to his advantage. That's up to 6th place. Nice stuff from him. Just want to quickly go back to Jarl Tyne though. Definitely looks like he's used a bit more rubber than anybody else behind him has at the moment, because he's lapping about 3/10 slower, was lapping about 3/10 slower until Winnick caught up to the back of him, even though in the early part of this race he managed to get the gap up to around about 1.5 seconds clear. That's now come right back down. So whether it's a case of he's now trying to conserve tyres or his tyres have just fallen off that little bit more, so Winnick doesn't really have to push that much, but he is pushing now. He's going to get the lead before they get to the final chicane. Maciej Winnick in the HRT takes the lead of the race. He's been catching Jarl Tyne for quite a period of time now. Tyne though may try and respond coming into turn number 1 a little bit too far back. Maciej Winnick leads the race here in Canada.
Yeah, very intelligent move from Millet, because he went to the inside and then sort of stayed in the middle of the road to stop Tyne from sort of maximising his exit. So he didn't really leave the door open for Tyne to counter-attack there. Tyne got a little bit closer in the slipstream there, but you could tell Milnet was thinking a couple of steps ahead, so very smart driving from the pole. And he's now taken the lead. He was 1,000th off for stealing in qualifying, and now make it look fairly straightforward there, but that was a very, very well executed move. And now Tyne is at the mercy of your cab. If your cab is stuck behind Tyne for a while, this could really play into Milneck's hands and give him a big gap before the end of this first stint then. So for the sake of Jakab's chances and True North's chances in the home race as well, he is going to have to think a way through past Tyne quickly. But he's also got Tyne's teammate Stevens, who's been playing a bit more cool, keeping the tyres in play a bit longer. He may come into play in a moment too. And look at Martin now picking off the second valet of Sergio Fletcher. It's 1 a lap for Carlos Martin at this rate, and we cannot rule him out for victory as well, the way he's driving.
Well, we'll need to keep our eyes on the HRTs towards the ends of all of our stints, because this is where they appear to be really, really strong on the road as the tyres start to fall away. It looks like Holland Racing Team are flying out there. Of course, Maciej now in the race lead, already a race winner this season in Saudi Arabia 2 rounds ago. But he only lies 4th in the championship, some 30 points behind Loic Meunier. It's been a bit of a rough start to the season, a 10th, a 9th, and a 10th, and a 6th place as Shimon Frelich comes in for his opening stop. Behind him, Aaron Vasquez as well. So we are now seeing drivers coming in for their opening pit stops here. Winnick, though, as I was saying, 2 wins last year with HRT on his way to 5th in the championship standings. If he could get his 2nd win of the season here in Canada, brush away those early disappointing results by his standards, that would really propel him straight up into the championship fight, and especially with Jan Grankvist down and out of the season, only 1 point ahead of Winnick as well. Sergio Fletcher is running P6, like Meunier, the championship leader, down in P8. This would be a huge opportunity for the Polish driver to enter the title conversation. Into the pits comes Jarl Tyne. The pole sitter from 2nd place has decided enough is enough on lap 21, and he is the first really of our front runners to make their way into
cab
the
on
pit lane.
Stevens, and Stevens got the inside here. Your cab will have to go the long way round. Will the Hungarian, they rub wheels, and Steven has still got the inside for turn 3 here, and he fends him off there. So really, really tough stuff, and this is absolutely helping out Jarl Tyne, no mistake.
Certainly is. What a move that was, though, by Tom Stevens. Undoubtedly one of the best wheel-to-wheel racers we've got in GPVWC, using that real-life experience he has to the utmost to muscle his way past Norbert Jakab, who did put up a bold fight, but nothing he could really do. Set of soft tyres then for Jarl Tyne as we go on to lap number 22. He's come out in 11th place. Bit of traffic in front with Philip Pushka, so he will need to work his way around that one. And again, as it stands, this is falling into Maciej Młynek's hands. Of course, it's only lap 22 of 70. There is a long way to go in this race, but Maciej now has a 2.3 second lead, and his current main rival for this race victory is stuck behind Filip Puška in P11th. And is he? No, he's going to stay out there as well. Młynek clearly happy with the tyres. Tom Stevens, though, does make his way in, locks them both up as he comes in. Hopefully he didn't speed. So both THRs clearly struggling a little bit with tyre wear. Maggio, as we expected, in as well fairly early doors. Yaltine gets through Filip Puška. Now we wait to see where those who've just boxed emerge compared to Tyne.
Yeah, of course, Tyne on the softs then, so he had the pace to make that move and the straight line speed too. So this could be quite close actually between Tyne and Stevens.
Well, you say that, I don't think it will be. Looks like Tyne has got quite a healthy gap. The undercut is quite powerful here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, but that is a huge gap, much bigger than I was expecting. So Tyne now
2 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, so that's worked out massively in his favour, it turns out, even with that traffic. And now, even if the likes of Młynek, Jakob, Martin, Fletcher, if they're all comfortable on their tyres, they'll be looking at that, looking at Tyne on the soft rubber and going, oh, right, okay, maybe we should adjust plans, coming a little bit earlier. We'll wait to see what our race leader with a 2.5 second advantage now for Maciej Młynek. Is he going to bring it in on lap 23 of 70, or is he happy out there on that medium set of tyres? No, he's staying out, in fact. There goes Carlos Martin, though, up the inside of Norbert Jakob, who does then come into pit lane. Got a bit hairy there for a second. We now have an HRT 1-2 here in Canada, although they are still yet to box. And now we wait to see where Jakob's going to emerge amongst all of this as well. There's Maggio making his way up into 11th place past Jose Soriano. I think he really lost out, in fact, in the pit lane. Did Maggio is out there on a fresh set of mediums compared to Tyne's soft tyres. Jakob and Maggio are going to be quite tight, I think. There's Yaltine just ahead. Jakob and Maggio, should I say. Yeah, Jakob is very much going to jump Maggio. He's got to work his way around Filip Puška, but that's worked out really, really well for the Hungarian driver.
Indeed it has then. So he has at least kept Maggio at bay and stopped him undercutting him. So yeah, Jakob still very much in contention here. But yeah, Młynek, Martin extending as long as they are. Let's see if this plays out for them, or because even if they get undercut, maybe they can get through on the fresher tyres in this second stint here.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. He's still got to work his way through Puška, of course. Jakob on the soft compounder rubber as well, mirroring. Whoa, that's as tight as you like as he swaps inside then outside. I don't think Puška was expecting that one. Jakob decided he really wanted that inside into the hairpin to force his way through. As I was saying, though, that got a bit dicey. Jakob again mirroring time while Maggio's gone for another set of mediums out there. So we do have an interesting strategy conundrum on our hands on lap number 25. Into the pits comes Javi Roos and Mark Schluter and Filip Puška as well, as we just saw. Młynek and Martin and Fletcher and Mounier as well. All of them staying out. Tyne will take the lead of this race when those guys pit. It's not a massive pit delta here. You're looking at around about 18 or so seconds, but that looks like Yaltine may have the advantage. HRT, Fletcher and Mounier clearly playing the cards of having the better tyres later in the stint, later in the race. And again, that's where the HRT, at least initially in this opening stint for them, looks like they are very, very strong out there. It looks like they've got the pace when the rubber starts to fall away. Młynek as well, lapping in the 114.7s at the moment. He is flying out there. Martin in the 114.9s. Is this a push before he comes in, or is this just the pace that they've got, even on older rubber, while they go out there and just get that clean air and push onwards? Maciej Młynek still pushing onwards here, Ed. These guys are going very deep in this first stint.
Yeah, I think all of our top four are committing to the two-stop here, whereas Tyne, Stevens, Jakob, Maggio might be all having to early commit to the three-stop, as there's Schluter now picking off Jose Soriano as he gets into P9, but you can see the gap to Maggio ahead on the mediums there. So Schluter on a softer compounder tyre, but he's got to catch up a good 2.3 seconds then if he wants to challenge Maggio. As we see in the background, is that Ross and Vasquez. Vasquez taking the fastest lap of the race, of course, as Soriano comes into the pits, and Xavi Ross now has got a very quick-looking spark all over the back of him. So Vasquez, from the very back of the grid, has very much stayed out of trouble in this one, and it's played to his advantage. So Spark, for the first time this season, trying to get both drivers into the points then. It's mainly been Lloyd Moynier that scored the vast majority of their points so far this season. And Vasquez looking to change that today after winning, of course, in Super Lights on Tuesday.
Of course, did have that little half spin earlier as he tried to work his way through Sven Schubert, but kept it out of the wall, kept the tyres in okay nick, and is continuing to push onwards on that soft rubber as well. I know we bang on and on about just how good Aaron Vasquez is. Of course, we know about his exploits over in other simulators. He turned up to R Factor 2 and GPV last year and was a race winner very quickly. And, well, again, put the work in the off-season. We know how good he is now. Of course, dominating Super Lights so far this year and continuing to put on solid showings in GPVWC Super League. On the subject of domination, that is dominating over speed from Aaron Vasquez, makes his way through Xavi Ross with little response with that DRS and that battery. Although maybe Ross thinks about trying to get a run into turn one, he'll be too far back, certainly. Vasquez makes his way into the top 10 then with a nice clean textbook maneuver, getting it before the braking zone into the final chicane. We are still waiting for the top four to come into the pit lane. Jarl Tyne is 6 seconds away from Loic Mounier. Maybe that's the HRT plan. Maybe it's wait for Tyne to encounter traffic, let him get held up, let him chew through his tyres as he's trying to race and follow others, and then we come in and again get that shorter second and third stint as well. Interesting to see how this is going to unfold. As Munich, does he come in this time? Yes, he does. So ignore everything I just said on lap 27.
And Mounier past Fletcher in the background as well. So that's crucial. Up to P3 just before they pit as well.
Yeah, Martin's staying out as well. So HRT clearly slightly splitting the strategies, given the preferential treatment to Loic, or to Maciej Młynek, should I say. Battle on pit road then. Młynek already out nice and clear. Fletcher car gets dropped, or bogs down a little bit on the way out though. May have the run. No, not quite. He will stay behind Loic Mounier for the time being. Jarl Tyne is moved up to second. Tom Stevens to third. Norbert Jakob into P4. Młynek emerges in P5. 13.5 seconds behind the race leader. That is the advantage that the undercut and the fresh rubber gives you. Młynek on the soft tyre as well, but we're looking at Jarl Tyne, who's our net race leader in P2. He's been on those softs for around about 8 laps now. He's been on them for a while. They're going to start wearing down. As we see, I believe that's Tom van der Voort getting well out of the way with the blue flags. So Tyne is going to start, the lap time's going to start to drop off for Jarl Tyne. He's running 1:14 deads at the moment. You'd expect Młynek to be immediately quicker than that unless the HRT doesn't like the softs as much. This is very much turning into a strategy race, similar to what we saw in previous rounds here in Canada, both in Super League and Super Lights, as Carlos Martin makes his way into the pits, and he should emerge, you'd expect, probably just about behind Młynek, maybe behind Maggio potentially. Depends what that last lap was from him, I suppose. It was a little bit off for 1:15.3, so he could be dropping back a couple of places. But then we've also seen how quick that car is in a straight line, so shouldn't be too much of a problem for him.
Yeah, he's going to come, I think, between Schluter and Mounier here in P7 then, and he is also on the softs as well then. So it's a similar situation. He's got to clear Mark Schluter and Maggio fairly quickly, has Martin, if he wants to be involved in that sort of podium fight. So we're going from the HRTs running long and leading in a 1-2 to the THRs now leading with a 1-2, as Stevens has effectively gotten his way past Norbert Jakob by undercutting him essentially, and has been sort of him and Tyne working together well to try and control the pace at the front of this race at the moment then. So Jakob not an immediate threat to them, but Młynek will be immediately setting personal best sectors as well. Now he's put the soft tyres on, and we're seeing Mounier and Fletcher as well lighting up a purple middle sector for Fletcher on this lap as he chases down Mounier, trying to get back in front of him then. So yeah, this will be interesting then to see how this if those who pit later on can now make up this ground, or if they get stuck in traffic.
Wait and see. Let's see what this lap time's going to be from Maciej as he comes to the line. The last lap from Jarl Tyne was a 1:13.7. It's a 1:13.9 from Maciej, but again, fresh rubber. Doesn't need to worry too much at the moment. He's already carved that gap down pretty significantly. It's about 5.5 seconds between himself and the race leader. So let's see what he's got in his locker as they continue to push forward. Of course, got to work his way past Norbert Jakob first, who I'm sure will be very, very keen to get himself back up into the podium positions, making a third podium finish in a row for the Hungarian. 2 third places at the last 2 rounds, and in his previous last race in Japan, he missed out Bahrain. It was a 5th place as well. He's been running very, very consistently this season in the True North car. And of course, at the team's home race, they'll be wanting to finish as strong as they possibly can, as his teammate Mark Schluter, P6 as well, both of them looking pretty pacey. True North have very much come out of the gate swinging so far this season, and like quite strong up the inside. This should be nice and simple before the braking zone, and as expected, Maciej Młynek back into the podium places. Clear air in front of him. He can now chase down those THRs.
Yeah, it didn't really make sense for Jakob to fight too much there, so he stuck right to the outside and sort of let Młynek go, because he knows Maggio could be a big threat to him, especially if the softs fade really quickly in this stint. Maggio on the mediums, who of course yet to take a different tyre than the mediums, so he will have to change compounds at some point. Could be a big threat though in this stint, as we see there is Soriano again holding back his teammate Vac and Jeffrey Fournier, so in a similar position to before, holding on to that final points paying position and trying to catch up to Philip Pushke ahead of him then. But I believe Philip Pushke may have he pit on lap 24-25, whereas Soriano pit about the same time then, so there's not really a big tyre life difference there. It is really just about trying to consolidate his position for Road to Formula, for whom at the moment every point is absolutely precious, like gold dust. Then as we see Fletcher and Moynier have been using DRS and these fresh mediums on the back of Martin, while Martin's warming up the softs to try and set fastest laps of the race. Martin though seems to be finally picking up the pace, and they're all closing in on the Schluter-Maggio-Jakob fight. So all these drivers fighting over P4 at the moment, but on different compounds of tyres and slightly different strategies as well.
Going to be very interesting to see how this unfolds going into the final stint. A fair few drivers out there at the moment, still yet to use the softs, of course. And then you look at the THRs who've boxed very, very early indeed, and then you may be thinking, are they going on to a 3-stopper potentially? Because those mediums did not last particularly long in the opening stint for Jarl Tyne, especially Tom Stevens was able to eke out just a little bit more from that compound of rubber. It is the softest compounds of rubber that we have available this weekend. It's the C5s or this evening, should I say. It's the C5s for the softs, the C4s for the mediums, and the C3s for the hards. But that's because Canada is not a massively tyre abrasive circuit, which is why you get to use the softer tyres, but they then of course just happen to fall off quite quickly. So many things to consider and many things to think about as we approach half distance in this race. It is Tyne from Stevens, from Młynek, your top 3. Jakob, Maggio, Schluter. Actually, as I say that, Schluter gets through Maggio there with the DRS and the battery. So that's Schluter, then Maggio, P5, P6.
Oh.
Carlos Martin 7th, Mounier 8th, Fletcher 9th, and Vasquez 10th. It was nearly then Schluter out of the race as he got very, very tight to the wall of champions, of course, then gets that double DRS as well down the front straight. There's only one detection point for the back straight and the front straight. So you get the benefit of clean air and DRS if you've made the move before the final chicane. As we see there, Carlos Martin is already onto the back of this pack. Of course, a former race winner here in Canada in Super League is Carlos. Back in 2024, he knows his way around this place and has been impressing mightily so far today. Other previous winners here in Canada last year was Jan Grankvist. 2023 was Tom Stevens, currently running in second. 2022, Yannick Bock down in P19 after the chaos of the opening kind of portion of this race. And in 2021, Jerne Simoncic was the race winner. So there are 3 past race winners on this grid, to be fair. Tom Stevens and Carlos Martin certainly looking like they are the most likely to repeat that. Stevens definitely in the better position to do so. Carlos Martin is on the charge though with the DRS, deploying the battery, nearly touching 330 kilometers an hour. Gets through Maggio, will have the DRS with a good exit onto the front straight. Could potentially be looking at Mark Schluter as well, but he is going to be too far back. He'll have to stay there and settle for the time being, but Martin very much on the charge.
Well, and important for both Schluter and Martin to make the move on Maggio when they did, because the softs are only going to get in a worse position relative to the mediums as this stint goes on, even with the HRT seemingly having great tyre preservation abilities, at least on near the end of that medium stint. But yeah, it makes sense if Maggio was worried about having not being able to keep the softs alive, that he would do another stint on the mediums. So I doubt we're going to see the hards put into service on Maggio's car. He might just be saving his soft stint for very, very late on then in this race for his second or maybe even third stop then, depending on how he plays it here, because we still are not even just at half distance yet. Schluter now is going to have to see if he can hold back the unstoppable force of Carlos Martin down the back straight against the St. Lawrence River, of course, the Olympic rowing lake on that left-hand side of your camera shot. And you can see Martin pulling out to the right-hand side and clearing the True North car as if it wasn't even there. Next up, the other True North of Norbert Jakob, 3 seconds up the road, that Milnek, if anything, has not quite been able to break away from. He stayed there about 3 seconds behind Jarl Tyne and Tom Stevens. But yeah, the lap times from Milnek, 1:13.6, so yeah, good half a second quicker than our race-leading THR pair at the moment. So Jakob is just doing a really good job, just holding onto his coattails, and that could help him fend off Martin for a little bit longer, which is not really what Milnek wants. He wants to back Jakob into Martin whilst also catching the 2 leaders then. So he can't really do both of their races for him. I think Milnek is probably focused more on the 2 THRs ahead of him. Yeah, apologies everyone. We seem to have lost Ross McIntyre. I thought it was something on my end, but it is Ross that we have lost from the commentary then. So hopefully, whatever's going wrong, because we definitely missed having Ross in the comms box. I thought it'd be me that dropped out, but it is Ross McIntyre. So the race continuing then, and you can see there Milnek just keeping Norbert Jakob at bay. As Carlos, we see actually Maggio making a mistake and losing several positions there. So Mounier and Fletcher both get through there. And is that Maggio really, really struggling? Because I don't think he was deliberately letting both Mounier and Fletcher through there. I think there was a genuine issue coming out of the Wall of Champions chicane then, essentially. So I believe we do have Ross McIntyre back.
Potentially?
Yeah, I can hear you,
Hey,
Ross. So hopefully that
go.
means everyone at home can too. So Ross, tell us what's happened here, because it looks like Maggio's hit trouble.
Yeah, it's chaos. So Mounier, as we're following them in, coming to the outside, almost contact between the pair of them, down into turn 1, and Maggio, just too much speed. Maybe caught a bit of curb on the inside as well and upset the rear of the car, and then drops behind Fletcher as well. So Fletcher will be going, oh, well, thanks very much for the free position. Very sportsmanlike of you from your teammate. Yeah, it does just catch the curb. So a bit too much speed over the curb, bounces it. Maggio does like to run the car very, very stiff. Compared to all of the other drivers. Again, it's a modern Formula car. It runs quite stiff anyway, but him especially, it's like basically driving a brick sometimes is the way I describe it, the way it bounces over curbs. But yeah, just caught that inside curb a bit too much, and it just bounced a bit, upset the balance of the car and sent the rear a bit waywards, but it's okay. He's only dropped a couple of positions. He's still very much there, not far away from his teammate. Maybe needs to start thinking about Aaron Vasquez behind though. Vasquez again been quietly doing his thing, even with that half spin earlier on. He's up to 10th place in the Sparks Nix car, and on that soft compound of rubber could be a big threat for Alessandro Maggio here.
Yeah, it is worrying that Maggio, in his second medium stint, still the rear's getting away from him fairly early on in the stint then compared to some of the competition. And yeah, the car's set up like a brick. I would, to paraphrase Douglas Adams, it spins around on the track in the same way that bricks don't, apparently. So there we go. Or, no, it's floating in the air the same way that bricks don't, is the Douglas Adams quote. But yeah, these are cars, not spaceships. So even while they sound a bit like him sometimes, it fooled me. As we look at Vasquez continuing now, having climbed from the very back of the grid into the points, now in 10th. He's only about 2 cars separating between himself and his teammate Schluter here, but Vasquez now having to get off of this set of soft tyres and surely back onto the mediums for his next stint. I think he'll have to pit at least one more time to get to the end, unless he is going to be very, very good at managing these tyres. But yeah, Vasquez deciding to pull the trigger. He's made really good use of pitting into fresh air and setting lap times in that clean air. Could he be putting another set of softs on, Ross? It might be another aggressive call from Spark here.
Well, when it's that's not updated yet. You can see the front right is very, very worn. Again, just a quirk of R-Factor 2. Sometimes for us watching along, it takes a moment or two for the tyre, the rubber to update. According to the live timing, it's saying softs. So it very may well be that it is going to be another set of soft tyres for Aaron Vasquez. So very, very aggressive strategy from the back of the grid then for the Sparks next driver. Let's see what he can do with those tyres. He will have to box before the end of the race. There is no way that those tyres are going 32 odd laps. Drops down to 17th as a result of that pit stop, but still very much on the lead lap. He's got Jeffrey Fournier, Thomas Vock in front of them. Should be pretty easy work. Those two slightly slower cars, unfortunately, for the pair of them. Gets through Fournier with no issues whatsoever. And then up in front, he'll have the DRS to get through the road to Formula of Vock as well. So he'll continue to push onwards. Looks like Mark Schluter and Sergio Fletcher swapping places once again further up the road. But here, that's as easy as it comes for Aaron Vasquez as Vock ducks back into the toe before the braking zone. It's now clear air for about 4.5 seconds for Vasquez, so he can just get his head down and push onwards.
Yeah, what's also happening here is that Stevens has been caught by Milnet. You can tell Tyan has decided to escape up the road. He was keeping the gap to about a second or so to Tom Stevens. He's now pulled it out to 2 seconds here. So Stevens once again in kind of a protect my teammate mode a little bit here and keep Milnet for as far behind for as long as possible. Because Jakab hoping to take advantage of this as well if Milnet tries to make a move and anything goes wrong. You can see Martin as well, having been the last car to pit in the first stint, is rocketing up towards the back of them as well. So this could get very, very tasty. A four-way fight for P2 here is brewing, and Time wants to make sure he's well clear of it before it all kicks off. But Milnek will be the first to have the opportunity to have a go at Tom Stevens, and if Stevens has got any push to pass, he might deploy it strategically down that back straight to keep Milnek at bay here.
We'll have to see. Should have plenty of battery left at this phase of the race. Of course, our battery system is not quite like your standard push to pass. It's a bit more advanced than that, but it's not like a full blitzed and blazing modern Formula car hybrid system. Unfortunately, it's just the limitations of our Factor 2. Storiano going very, very defensive there. Was that, in fact, on the attack as he's making his way through Shimon Frelick almost. Has to go the long way round in the road to Formula car. Frelick will hold on to the inside. Pushka watching along just behind them, and they're not far away from Sven Schubert either. It will be Soriano that moves up a position. A nice job there from Jose. The Spaniard gets the place, and look at the gap that he's already started to bridge. Back to Maciej Winnick. He is right on the tail of Tom Stevens, and with the DRS, with the battery, and with much, much fresher, even if worn tyres, this should be a piece of cake. Up the inside, down the main straight, and it's Maciej Winnick who moves into second place as we go onto lap number 41 of 70 here at the circuit. Gilles Villeneuve. And now it's just Jarl Tyen separating himself from being back in the race. And of course, Tyen on very, very old softs.
Yeah, I think Frelick we saw there is having the same issue that Maggio was having, because you saw everybody on the softs was making kind of mincemeat of him, and he was just really struggling on some of the corner exits there to try and stay in the lower end of the points then, as our sole remaining TOP's got to make sure he doesn't drop too far in this stint as well. But meanwhile, as you say, Milnek looking really, really strong here. Of course, these softs can go a lot longer than the softs of Tyen and Stevens. So is the question of, does Milnek really need to pass Tyen and catch him before this stint ends? And now Vasquez takes his turn to pick off Frelick on a move up the inside into turn 3, which is not usually an overtaking spot. So that really shows you how little grip the mediums have at this phase. The softs very much the tyre of choice, and I think everybody's now figuring out can they get to the end making 2 stops or 3 using the soft tyres and stretching them out, as we see now Jakab goes really, really close, but here comes Martin making a double move up the inside of both of them into the chicane. I think Stevens has to cut the chicane, so that's worked out very badly for him, but Carlos Martin, opportunism and a half, he gets 2 into 1.
Welcome back, Carlos Martin. Where have you been? That was a move straight from his own playbook. And well, it's been a while since we've seen Carlos Martin really whip something special out, something that we know he can do, but that was one of them. What a move. 2 drivers in one corner to get up into the podium places. Brilliant stuff. And the HRTs are in P2 and P3 on lap 42 of 70 here. And again, it's what we saw similar to the end of stint number 1, Ed, whereas everybody else's tyres start to fall away. Yes, of course, they are on fresher rubber than those around them, but the HRTs just seem to be so fast. As everyone else's tyres start to struggle, start to get a bit hot, start to lose that rubber, that's when they seem to be at their best. And that's going to be a massive advantage if they are in a fight for the podium, if they're in a fight for the lead of the race in the last 5 or so laps. Let's go on board and see this once again from Carlos Martin. Of course, he has the assistance of the DRS, the battery, the double slipstream, up to 240 kilometers an hour with that one. Gets it stopped somehow from ridiculous speeds, almost smashes into a hastily rejoining Tom Stevens. That's a fantastic move from Carlos Martin.
Indeed it was, and your cab got so distracted dealing with Stevens on the outside that they both left the door open up the inside for Martin to take advantage there, and he placed his car perfectly, didn't outbrake himself, and just absolutely nailed it under pressure there. But Stevens, we're seeing that apparently on the timing screen that he may have while he was cutting the track there and hastily rejoining, as you rightly pointed out, he may have actually given himself a drive-through penalty for taking advantage of the corner cut, according to the game. So whether he has to come in and serve it or if that gets erased by the stewards in the middle of the race, I don't know. I suspect here that that might be just another thing that Tom really doesn't want to have to deal with right now. He's already got Mounier and Fletcher who've been swapping positions every few laps like crazy in their bid to duke it out for the championship lead, effectively, although they are 20 points apart. And Mounier looking in a stronger and stronger position. As we see Milnek taking the lead, because I think Tyan, has he gone into the pits? No, I think he stayed out there. Yeah, he's just been breezed past down the straight. So Milnek continuing to fly as Mounier now gets past Stevens just before they get to the chicane. So Fletcher just missing out on a chance to get past the THR as well there.
Wow, what a crazy turn of events. We'll wait to see if Tom Stevens has got that penalty. I suspect maybe he's just not taken quite the right route that you are supposed to take when you go off the track there at the final chicane. Maybe the game being a bit harsh. We'll see if he does come in for a drive-through. If the in-game live stewards are thinking that's a bit harsh, you can be let off with that one. Currently running in P6. Let's have a replay here. This must be of Maciej Młynek, yeah. So on, or not on board, should I say, or following along. This is the move for the race leader. Just look at the overspeed. They haven't even got onto the back straight proper, and he's already alongside with the DRS, with the battery. Of course, has that better traction out of the hairpin because of the fresher rubber, but just the pace is unbelievable from that Vertex engine. Of course, we have to remember the Vertex in the back of the HRT, as it's already 1.5 seconds clear of yard time. That is the only engine that coming into this round with the new upgrade decided to upgrade the MG UK instead of lowering the engine mass. And clearly, although maybe it's not working for all of the teams within the Vertex sphere, it's very much working for the HRT boys. Sergio Fletcher goes on by Tom Stevens, and it is Yaltine into the pit lane. This should be his final stop of the race. The pole sitter, who's led, I'd say you're around about 50% of it so far. Let's see what tyres going to go on to. There's no way he's taking that set of softs to the end. Surely it'll be 25 laps. I mean, he did do 25 laps actually on this stint, so it could be very much softs to the end from Yaltine, actually. It was a very aggressive first stint on the mediums to get them out of the way. And really just hammering down the tyres.
He had to pit because at the end of that stint, he was losing 0.3 per sector.
That's true.
To Maciej Młynek, essentially. So it's basically, if he just lost too much time, it's sort of a rock and a hard place where the tyres are fading. The softs of the tyre of choice, but you've got to nurse them to make sure they can get to the end then. So Tyne, if he overdoes it on these laps trying to undercut his way out of the pits, he could find himself in a similar situation at the end of the race where he's just got nothing to fight with. And I think Stevens, you can see the rears getting away from him. He's in a horrible situation. He's trying to delay that drive-through long enough for the stewards to get rid of it, I think, from his perspective. But whether they can do anything or not, if it's an in-game penalty and he was like marginal on track limits before that point, then maybe there might not be much they can do. And in comes Tom Stevens. So, brakes just in time. Again, locking up the rear tyres to make the pit lane speed limit line. Is he going to go into his pit box for a legitimate stop.
Looks like it, yeah. So maybe that penalty has been given away. He's certainly pulling out of the fast lane. Yeah, so coming into the pits, so clearly that penalty's either not served it yet, which you are supposed to do before you take a pit stop, so I'm going to assume it's been removed by the stewards, and they went, no, that's fine. That wasn't really a penalty. You can get away with that one. So softs for Stevens as well. They can just about make it to the end of the race, but this is very much advantage Winnick and Martin here, Ed. I mean, they're going to have so much more rubber at the end of the race, much fresher tyres. And even if Stevens is able to make his car as wide as the track as he possibly can, Winnick and Martin are just going to be able to breeze on by. This race is very much in HRT's hands right now. They've played this strategy absolutely perfectly.
Indeed, they're having Yakup falling behind Martin quite a lot now because he's having to deal with Moynier and Fletcher all over the back of him here. And Moynier may have a good chance to get onto the podium at the moment. The problem with Stevens as well, him going out a lap longer as Moynier gets into P3, and so too is going to be very tight into that chicane as Yakup bails for the pit lane in response to the THRs then. So yeah, Fletcher does make it through and is right on the tail still of Loic Moynier. Fantastic to see our top two in the championship just juking it out wheel to wheel and not giving each other a moment's rest there. But Stevens actually being undercut by Aaron Vasquez, who was setting fastest laps of the race earlier, 1 minute 12.9. So first man in the 1 minute 12 as the fuel continues to burn off. Here comes Yakup. He is going to come out behind Vasquez and behind Stevens as well then.
He will indeed. Being told by Chris Williamson, one of our race
ahead of Stevens.
Here.
Sorry, there he is.
Yeah, so he has actually just come out just in front of Stevens, so he's managed to get the jump there. Yeah, just been told by Chris Williamson, one of our race directors here in Super League, the drive-through penalty was removed. It's going to be assessed post-race by the disciplinary committee, so it was removed. They obviously think there may be a penalty for that incident that we saw where he did go off the track coming into the final chicane as Carlos Martin made his way through. So there may be a penalty in it, but clearly a drive-through way too harsh in that situation. So the drive-through's been removed and he's able to race on, but it is just going to get reviewed. I was thinking he might have sped in the pit lane, to be fair, as he came in and locked up both fronts again. I think he just about made it in at the 90 or at the correct speed limit. He was certainly coming in with some vigor. But now into top 10. Doesn't have a drive-through that we're aware of at the moment. It's going to get reviewed post-race. He can just push onwards and race on. Both the Valet Esports cars into the pit lane now, Fletcher and Maggio, for their final stops, lap 48 of 70. We're getting into the final stint, getting into the final phases. It is still going to be very much advantage Maciej Młynek and Carlos Martin. Jarltime will inherit the lead when they come in as Fletcher emerges on a fresh set of soft tyres. You'd assume the same for Alessandro Maggio as well, but he's going to drop behind Javi Rose and Jose Soriano, our reigning Superlights champion. So it's all about essentially when the HRTs do come in for their final pit stop, what pace are they going to have? Are they going to have any issues with traffic? If they're able to side their way through to the front of the pack, they shouldn't really have any issues and they should be well on course for this race win. Here is what we saw coming out of the pits with Tom Stevens. I know actually we're looking to see if he sped in the pit lane. It's 80 kilometers an hour is the what we want to see, and he gets it. Oh, that is very, very tight, isn't it? That's as close as you want to get. Oh, yeah, take a breath, Tom Stevens. Pushing fine margins here in Super League.
Yeah, Milnek now pits from the lead for what should be his final stop, and Moynier and Schluter joining him then. So the other thing you notice about Maggio switching now back to the softs is that having pit, he's come out ahead of Frelick and gained essentially a whole another pit stop on him. So that really shows you the difference between pitting earlier off the mediums and going back to the softs, and Frelick sticking out for a longer stint on the mediums has not worked out for him. As now there is Moynier rejoining the circuit, and he's going to be undercut, I think, by Sergio Fletcher there, who just gets through, having pit the lap before, and both of them now right behind Tom Stevens then. So this is a fight that's very much going to open up for the final 20 laps or so.
It is indeed. This is going to get very, very interesting as we still await our final pit stops from Winnick, from Martin. So as it stands, they will have, if they box this lap, they'll have 5 laps fresher rubber. That's less than they had for this stint, but still a decent amount. Again, you'll be expecting Jarltime, Tom Stevens, those lot, to be managing the tyres as Winnick does continue to stay out very aggressive over the curbs from both of the HRTs, in fact, but keep it well away from the Wall of Champions. When you've got a 1-2 in a race like this, there is no point risking it. There's no point throwing it away with a silly little mistake in a track that can be so unforgiving when it wants to be. just run the pace that you want. But 95% is more than enough, quite frankly, at this phase, especially on worn tyres, as those others are on softs. So Jartijn now up into third place. He's back on the podium place. He's 14 seconds away from our race leader. So we're waiting how quickly he's going to be able to close down that gap. The last lap from the race leader was a 1:14.1. Jartijn was a whole second quicker. So let's just keep our eye on those times, and again, keep our eye on when we're expecting the HRT guys to be coming into the pit lane. There is the current championship leader in Loic Meunier, still stuck a little bit behind Sergio Fletcher, but making good pace. Did drop behind him after that final pit stop. We have lost another driver as well, by the way, Dylan Fisher. A real shame, down and out of the race on this one about 10 or so laps ago, it looks like. In fact, we must have missed that one, but a real shame for Dylan after what was a fantastic qualifying session. Is shaping up to be a great race. The race leader of Mathieu Winec comes in. Martin's in as well. No, it's Martin. Take it back.
Martin.
It's just, yes, and Winec staying out. Okay, that's really interesting. So is that if they've swapped just whoever gets to pit first? Is that a Martin can't go on any longer on the softs on that stint?
He was only a tenth slower than Milnek. Maybe Martin was more worried about losing more track positions, that they're pitting him first and Milnek the lap after. So Tyne, of course, the crucial thing for Tyne was he was able to get out ahead of Vasquez, while everybody else has now been stuck behind. Jakob about a second behind him, and there is Martin, who rejoins just in front of Norbert Jakob and behind Aaron Vasquez there. So now he's only got one car to overtake, so that's actually worked out really well for Martin. If he stayed out a lap later, he would have lost 2, maybe 3 places there.
Yeah, and Aaron Vasquez as well, himself and Carlos, pretty good mates off of the racetrack. So if they do go on the attack, I don't think Vasquez will make it too difficult for Carlos Martin. He'll know it's not his race as well. But we'll wait and see. Maybe Vasquez woke up in a grumpy mood and is going, no, you're staying behind me. No matter what, we'll wait and see. So Mathieu, I'm going to assume, is boxing now. You'd expect, yes, he is. So it's a reverse of what they've done at the first stop, where we had Mathieu boxing first, got that priority from the lead of the race. This time, either they've swapped over just for fairness amongst the team, or like you said, Ed, Carlos Martin clearly a bit more worried about losing track position, being 3 seconds behind Mathieu Winec. Martin has made his through Aaron Vasquez, so it should be that Winec does come out in between Jartijn and Carlos Martin. It's about 4.5 seconds between the pair of them. There we are waiting to see Jartijn emerge. There is Jartijn just going through now. It could actually be quite close between the two. No, it's not close actually. It's about, I thought it was closer than it was. It's about 2 seconds. So that has played out really, really nicely for the HRT guys. And once again, Ed, this is a race that is now completely in their hands.
Oh, as you see Jakob brush against the wall. Clearly, he's getting a bit frustrated behind Vasquez. As you see, Martin has cleared Vasquez quite comfortably at the end of that previous lap there, and he needed to as well, because him and Milnek will be hoping to fly past Jartijn. So Tyne has not really got the gap, and he's got much older tyres now on these softs. So I think Tyne may really be in a battle to keep both of the HRTs behind him here. But yeah, certainly a lot of heroic performances here, not least Aaron Vasquez from near the back of the grid, trying to really extend these softs. Is Vasquez going to do a splash and dash for another set of softs near the end here, or is he going to try and nursemaid these softs all the way to the end? Because he's got to do almost 30 laps on them, essentially, if he's staying out here.
Could be difficult, maybe having to break to the tyre gods. That's a nice move by Sergio Fletcher, muscles his way past Loic Meunier. Meunier back down into 8th place, the champion, although he's got a 20-point advantage in the standings ahead of Sergio Fletcher as they go side by side into turn number 1. It has been a disappointing day so far, and again, if they finish as they do, the gap closes down negligibly. It'll be a tiny, tiny difference. It'll still be a very healthy advantage in the championship going into round number 7 for Meunier, but again, you can tell he's probably going to be a bit disappointed, a bit frustrated with a P8 at the end of this one. It was 13th last time out of Malaysia after that crazy race and the crazy incidents he had. But apart from that, it's been a 5th place in Australia, 2 wins on the bounce in Japan and Bahrain, and 2nd in Saudi Arabia. He's been so consistent in the early part of the season, enough to build up a big championship lead, but that can disappear very, very quickly if you're languishing down the back of the top 10.
The good news for Meunier is his teammate is able to help him out here. Vasquez backing Jakob, Stevens, and ultimately Fletcher as well into him as best he can. But yeah, certainly Vasquez is going to be really running out of tyres here, and you can see there Milner, and in comes Vasquez. There we go. So he knows that he was not really going to be able to make the difference there, and this is going to drop him just outside the top 10, I believe, behind Xavier Ross, but he should be ahead of Sven Schubert, I believe.
We'll wait to see where he emerges. Sparks Nix, of course, one of the teams that have a Mark III pit crew upgrade, straight away investing loads of time into getting quicker pit stops. So they will lose a little bit less time than some of the other teams out there. Vasquez, looks like he may in fact come out just in front of Sven Schubert, and indeed he will. Actually quite some way in front of Sven Schubert. And where is Javi?
Lots of clear air once again. So
yeah,
great strategy from Spark Nix Sim Racing.
Yeah, executed that one really, really nicely. So Aaron Vasquez, it is 7 seconds realistically to Xavi Ross in P10, but there are still maybe some in front that are expecting to make pit stops, and of course he'll have that fresh rubber, so could be going from 29th, the last driver who started the race out there on the grid with Soppinen starting from the pit lane, all the way up to the top 10. It's been another fantastic performance from Vasquez with a half spin in it as well, down at turn number 1, but really showing the world what the Spaniard can do out there. Lap 54 of 70, Meunier is going to try again, this time to the outside, and Fletcher defends very, very well to the inside, but not a great exit, compromised himself through the chicane. DRS for Loic Meunier gets it done before they get to T1. There's a yellow flag out in sector number 1, but it is Loic Meunier that is going to make his way through nice, cleanly and calmly. Green flags once again, so whatever that was. Masciuli, looks like he's going to be
being lapped because he picked just in front of Milnek then, so there we go. He's still ahead actually a minute because he had the fresh tyres in between him and Jarl Tyne, and he's tried to get out of the way, I think,
and just got
decided
really wrong,
to call it a night because he was so far off of the rest of the top 20 then. So yeah, I think just a bit of frustration for poor Eros there. But yeah, either way, that releases Milnek now, who was getting about 3/10 per lap on Tyne. Now he hasn't got the Adonis in the way to lap as well, so that will help him.
Yeah, it's either, definitely calling it a night or something's gone wrong hardware-wise. I guess we'll have to wait and find out post-race.
Well, that was sensible because if he held up the leaders, that would have been, certainly nobody at HRT would have been sending him a Christmas card. You see Stevens breezing up the inside of Norbert Jakob there. So Jakob jumps Stevens in the pit. Stevens now back ahead, and Jakob at the mercy of our two title protagonists.
Stevens, he's been up down all over the place today. Loic Meunier to the outside of Norbert Jakob, going to muscle his way through the inside, potentially banging wheel to side pod. Loic Meunier will work his way up into 5th place, surely. Yes, he does. That is aggressive stuff from the reigning champion, from the championship leader. And again, another driver who's been up and down all over the show here in Canada. Had some things go his way, had more than some things not go his way, but he does make his way through and up into 5th place with a lovely move there. Lap 56 of 70. We're getting closer and closer to that checkered flag. Sergio Fletcher currently 2nd in the championship standings, 20 points adrift from Loic Meunier as it stands coming into this race. Of course, getting that gap down due to that race win last time out in Malaysia, and he'll be dropping back even further as a result of finishing P7 to, as it currently stands, Loic Meunier's P5. It'll be 22 points the gap if they finish as they do, and just behind him as well, Maciej Młynek, Carlos Martin, who we're expecting to be 1-2, even if they're 2-3, will be gaining massively on him. So his championship place is under threat. Loic Meunier clearly deciding enough is enough. He's not hanging about anymore. He's moving through and up into 5th place, and could well be trying to put the attack on Tom Stevens for 4th before too long.
Yeah, Stevens sets the personal best lap of the race, 1 minute 12.9, so he has seen this coming from Meunier, and he's deciding to try and escape now that he's cleared Jakob before him. He's not actually that far behind Martin. I wonder if Stevens decided to save a bit of tyres, knowing he didn't have that track position on Aaron Vasquez, that he was going to be stuck in that train. He saved a bit of tyres, and now he's starting to push a little bit, whereas Tyne has had no option but to hold him to leave. You can see the rear is actually almost threatening to get away underneath him out of the 8-9 chicane. But yeah, Milnek gaining about half a second per lap on Jarl Tyne, who's still setting personal bests, just trying to limit the damage here. But Tyne, as you say, I think fighting a bit of a losing battle at the moment.
Stevens as well, of course, could be potentially getting a penalty post-race from the disciplinary committee. So it's all up in the air in terms of THR, but Stevens could very well still get involved in this fight up in front as well. Martin is just outside of DRS range from his teammate Mouinek. Mouinek is closing on Jarl Tyne. If Tyne's able to hold them up a little bit, that could potentially invite Stevens into the battle and give Tyne that support that he needs on the worn soft rubber. So I think that must be the play. Tyne just needs to push as hard as he can until it's inevitable that he's going to be under attack, which could be very, very soon, because Mouinek is now within DRS range. Then he just needs to defend like his life depends on it. Hope that Stevens gets to the back of Carlos Martin and causes a bit of chaos to try and make it 2 against 2. The THRs against the HRTs to try and cause a bit of chaos out there on the track. But I tell you what, look at how much speed Maciej Mouinek has, especially coming out of corners. And with that upgraded battery, the Vertex engine was the only engine that went in that upgrade route, and it's clearly working for the HRT boys, because Maciej Mouinek is going to be pulling to the inside and getting it done before the braking zone, and that could very much well be the move that decides this race. Maciej Mouinek is back into the lead ahead of Jarl Tyne. Tyne doesn't have enough to respond immediately, but doesn't drop back just yet. Carlos Martin a bit too far away to go on the attack for the time being, but the leaders, is that the moment? Is that the time when the race swaps hands for the final time?
Yeah, look at Tyne's rears. They're starting to slip around underneath him here, and he's immediately now got to refocus on trying to keep Martin behind, which may be also a even tougher job, actually, because Martin pit the lap earlier in this particular stint then, actually, so Martin might be slightly easier, but of course both the HRTs matching each other's lap times all within less than half a tenth of a second each time. So yeah, Martin definitely not slouching off and let his teammate do the hard work. He has absolutely been keeping up with him, and yeah, Stevens still about 3 seconds in arrears as Jakob, Moynier, Fletcher all continue to duel with one another. Vasquez, by the way, I think has reset the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 12.6, as he's now about 2 seconds behind Xavier Ross and threatening to get into the top 10 here. The only thing that might save Jarl Tyne is A, if he's got any push to pass left to deploy, and B, if he can stick close to Milnek with the slipstream and use the straight line speed of Martin's teammate to hold off Martin himself then. But I think with the tyres fading in these final 10 laps, Tyne will have to drive absolutely masterfully to hold on to P2, but I think P3, if Stevens has got the same issues, might be possible for Jarl.
This is shaping up to be a fantastic result for HRT Championship-wise as well. They currently lead the Constructors' Championship with an 11-point advantage ahead of Valley Esports, themselves 8 clear of THR, themselves 3 clear of a tied 4th place Sparks Nix and True North Racing. With a 1-2 here, even a 1-3, HRT could extend that gap even further, but THR as well picking up solid points as it currently stands with that 2nd and 4th place position. Tyne now dropping outside of DRS and could very quickly be falling into the clutches of Carlos Martin. We'll wait to see as we go back to this battle for 5th place. Loic Mounier, Norbert Jakob and Sergio Fletcher all very tight on one another. Tom Stevens not too far away either. He looked like he was trying to bolt away earlier on, but I think just running out of rubber and running out of pace is the Englishman. His last lap was similar pace to Mounier and the like behind, to be fair, but I just don't think he's got enough to break away with 9 laps left in this race as they come to the line now. Fletcher not close enough for a move on Jakob down into turn number 1, but certainly looking, thinking, he'll be analysing his opponent, figuring out where he can make the move. Where am I stronger? Where is he stronger? What can I learn from the Hungarian? All of these things that these drivers are having to process as they're pushing their way around the circuit, Gilles Villeneuve. It is incredibly difficult to be quick at the very, very top of sim racing. You need not just the ability in the car, but you need to have the brain to understand what is going on out there. That's the reason why I could never do this. I'm not smart enough. But these guys, from right at the top of the grid right down to the very bottom in Super League, all of them at every single moment as Fletcher gets it a little bit wrong into the chicane there, they're processing so much information. The brain is like a computer almost, how much they're learning from the drivers in front. And then, of course, you've got to figure out how to execute that move once you've done that processing as well. Carlos Martin will be too far back for a move down into the final chicane, but he's certainly close enough now that he's under attack is Jarl Tyne.
Yeah, well, Ross McIntyre, not smart enough to drive, but smart enough to be a commentator. And I don't know what that's about. But anyway, you can see that Tyne taking so much curb, almost to try and launch himself out of the final chicane and escape the clutches of Martin. But you can tell Martin will be relishing this, of course. This is feeling a little bit like that is amazing fight in the early laps at Abu Dhabi at the end of last season, which is the most recent Carlos Martin win. Of course, win number 3, Milnek might be a little bit too far out of reach on that same strategy, and from a team perspective, there's not a whole lot of reason for HRT to fight each other, especially with Milnek, I think, being the slightly further ahead in the Drivers' Championship at the moment, of course. Yeah, fourth in the table on 54 points is a yellow in Sector 2 that clears briefly, whereas Martin 2 points behind, actually, so it's nip and tuck between the two of them. Oh, we see a slide into the hairpin from Tyne, who goes very, very wide, and Ross, surely this is going to be Carlos taking his opportunity to get through to P2 now.
Well, this should be as easy as they come, shouldn't it? And he's going to get it done before they're even halfway down the straight. Carlos Martin with the DRS, with the battery, and with that mistake from Jarl Tyne makes it an HRT 1-2 as we go on to lap 63 of 70. And what are the tyres like from the THRs? Jarl Tyne's last lap was 9/10 slower than Carlos Martin, who's running almost identical lap times to his teammate.
And that's Milnek without DRS as well, so that's quite impressive.
Absolutely, yeah. That's, fast from Maciej Milnek for starters, but Carlos Martin should now just drive away from Jarl Tyne, who's already out of DRS. You can see that front left, which is the tyre that suffers the most here at the circuit, Gilles Villeneuve, looking pretty knackered. We've seen the rear of Jarl Tyne moving around quite a lot. The rears must be pretty knackered as well. And I think the THRs over the next couple of laps are just going to drop more and more backwards. Tom Stevens is now under attack as well from Loic Meunier. He's nearly within DRS range. It could be that Loic Meunier, if Tyne's tyres drop that much over the next couple of laps, and Meunier's able to keep the pace up, he could be trying to fight his way onto the podium. The same with Jakob and Fletcher, because they are right on the tail now of Tom Stevens. Meunier does not quite have the DRS on this occasion. Jakob and Fletcher certainly do, but Tom Stevens has got to be feeling under threat massively here. No moves made on this occasion, but 4th place Tom Stevens is looking like a target.
Yeah, the problem is, I think they only put a couple of laps later, so they've been sort of stuck in this train behind Stevens for a while, and he's sort of gotten on top of Meunier. Meunier having to more defend from Jakob behind, I think, at the present moment here. So Stevens doing a great defensive job nonetheless, as you point out, and that has left Tyne with a 4.7 second gap to play with at the moment. Even if Tyne, having pit, I think, before Stevens in this stint, will be struggling a bit more on his tyres then. So Jarl Tyne just has to minimise his mistakes then, and 3rd place should be his, but it's a big question whether THR can match their best finish of the season so far, where they were 3rd and 4th in Bahrain. They're on course to do it again, but any slip-ups here, and Meunier, Jakob and Fletcher could all get through here.
We'll wait to see, though. It's all going to be down into that final chicane. That has been the action zone, the overtaking spot with that DRS, with that battery. You get the traction out of the hairpin and try to push your way through. Is there DRS this time for Loic Meunier? There is indeed. So he's just within that 7/10 gap. He'll be too far back. Maybe Sergio Fletcher thinking about a go on Norbert Jakob, certainly trying to fill the mirrors, but he himself miles away from realistically making a move as the valet driver smashes his way over the curbs, as we have been seeing both of the valet cars doing all race long. Oh, that's a long way back to try and have a look down into turn number 1. Jakob's got it wrong, though, and it could pay dividends for Sergio Fletcher. It was an opportunistic attempt. Jakob then made the mistake. Fletcher unable to finally capitalise on it, though. He'll stay in 7th place. It looks like he definitely wants to be on the move, definitely wants to be on the attack. He's fed up of staring at that rear wing of the True North car. He wants to stare at the rear wing of the Sparks Nix car in front instead.
Yeah, but that was a sort of marginal attempt. He was trying to sort of force Jakob into a mistake, but the more they just fight each other and chew up their tyres, the more it plays into Stevens' hands here. So yeah, Moynier is the more sensible one here, because you saw whenever he was fighting against Fletcher, he wasn't defending too hard. He was preparing more for this late phase where he knew the podium position would be on the table here. So I think Loic is playing as a bit smarter than the two behind him. We also see Vasquez has cleared Ross and is now almost within a second of Maggio in the fight for P9 a bit further down then. So still a few minor points up for grabs too, but I think we could be, could this be the first HRT 1-2 that we've seen in Super League history, I think, Ross?
Certainly this and last season, yeah, but I'd be inclined to say potentially ever in Super League history. What an opportunity. Well, I guess we'll ask them afterwards and we'll find out and see if that's the truth.
They're certainly going to be happy, whatever.
Yeah, they're certainly, yes. That's one way to put it. They've had a fantastic race. They've driven perfectly. They've got the strategy bang on. And now they're only a handful of laps away from collecting what could be a very, very historic result and pushing themselves more and more clear in the Constructors' Championship lead as well. Matej Winner, he's got 2.2 to his teammate behind, who himself has nearly 3 seconds now to the good to Jarl Tyne in P3, who Tom Stevens is not catching, so Tyne should be okay to hold on to that position to the end of this one. But again, there's no reason to push from this point. The HRT guys just need to bring it home. Not quite cruise home mode, but you can certainly take your time. Just take a step back. No mistakes. Just keep it calm and simple. Of course, Matej Winner is a race winner already this season back at Saudi Arabia. Was a two-time race winner last season, should I say, and already looking to match that before we've even got to halfway. Sergio Fletcher was looking for a move on Norbert Jakob. Couldn't quite get it. Is very, very close in the toe, though, with the DRS. He's going to have to go the long way around at turn number 1. Jakob's going to be aggressive with the defence and chop him off. No way through for Fletcher on this occasion. Maybe a little bit of contact there. Just the lightest of kisses from the front wing of Fletcher to the rear of Jakob, but they'll both keep pushing onwards in the right direction, should I say. But Fletcher again getting racy and potentially getting a bit flustered, getting a bit hot under the helmet. You can tell he's getting frustrated, getting impatient.
Yeah, it's just not really gone to plan this race. We also think Vasquez has overtaken Maggio in the middle sector, so I think Alessandro Maggio has set a 1:15, so he's made a mistake of some sort. A little bit slow for 8 and 9. Oh, maybe he was in danger of corner cutting there, maybe a bit too risky with the track limits, and Vasquez breezes around the outside on his much fresher soft tyres then. So that puts Vasquez into P9, and if I'm not mistaken, Aaron Vasquez got 8 points for P8 in Bahrain, so he's only 1 place away from his best finish so far in Super League. So from the very back of the grid, that's a very impressive evening's work from the Spaniard.
Certainly is not the most impressive back of the grid drive we've ever seen, of course. In
I think Tyre might take that from Monza last year.
Course. Yeah, from the back to the race win at Monza last year. A very, very historic day for him, and one that blew the title fight wide open, a title fight that he unfortunately came up short in, but it was still a fantastic season nonetheless from him. Still winless, unfortunately, this year so far is Jarl Tyne. Today looked like his best opportunity, but THR just haven't nailed the strategy, and the HRTs are so quick late in the stints as well. Tyne, the best result of 3rd in Bahrain, 2 DNFs to his name in Japan, and last time out in Malaysia as well. It's been a rough start, unfortunately, for him, and much of that with the DNFs and the like hasn't really been his fault either. It's just, what can you do? Racing, Lady Luck, they're cruel mistresses. As to the outside now, Sergio Fletcher. Jakob's going to try and force him wide. Fletcher gets a bit squirrely on corner exit, but does have the wider line. If he's got okay traction, could be in with an opportunity here. Keep your eye on that speed on the top left of the dash. He's going to dump the battery and get closer and closer, pushing 230 Ks. Can't quite get any close enough, though. He'll have to settle for that 7th place. These guys going on to their penultimate lap of the race. Tom Stevens is still holding on. He's very much within the clutches of Loic Mounier now, who can't seem to find a way through. And then Jakob is still staying with Mounier as well, even under these relentless attacks from Sergio Fletcher behind.
Yeah, and a late charge from Schluter, by the way. He's only about 2 seconds behind them now, who was about nearly 10 seconds back. He is really pushing, gaining about 3-4 tenths per lap on the foursome in front of him, but not quite able to make an impression, sadly. I think he's going to run out of laps to make this move, and the softs, you can tell, just escaping underneath him. But yeah, True North may well, after they were second and third last time out, weren't they? It looks like they may have to settle for 6th and 8th at the moment if Jakob can just keep Fletcher at bay here.
We'll have to wait and see. This could get very, very interesting towards the end of this race, though. Or, well, I say towards the end. At the end of this race, we are almost a lap away from the checkered flag. And it will only be a short moment until Maciej Winnick does make it one final tour of the circuit. Gilles Villeneuve still not close enough then for Sergio Fletcher. Mounier is close to, or closer than he has been, should I say, to Tom Stevens, although gets it a little bit wrong in the chicane. Stevens also on the toe braking activities out there, trying desperately to hold on to that 4th place. Not only massive for his own season, having missed the last 2 rounds, but massive for THR in the Constructors' fight as well, with the championship leaders getting a 1-2. They would love to get a 3-4 to keep that deficit as minimal as possible. But they push on. Can Mounier find a way through? The reigning champion will be extending his championship lead, although not by much. It'll only be a handful of points. It'll still be within a race win as well, as it currently stands, although only by the skin of its teeth. No one close enough just yet, Ed. Unless there's a move here, this could be a stalemate to the end.
Yeah, look, great exit from Stevens there. Even with the more worn engine than his teammate, Stevens really has been able to get the grunt down the straights then. But yeah, I think in terms of the championship picture, Milnek is, after winning in Jeddah, he's about to come back into play and win the Canadian Grand Prix.
For the second time in 2026, Maciej Winnick is a Grand Prix winner in GPVWC Super League. Carlos Martin makes it a historic 1-2 for HRT as well, with a great drive. And Jarl Tyne, the strategy wasn't to be in 3rd place. Tom Stevens just about holds on to 4th place, as this huge battle we've been following for, what, 15 or so laps now, finishes status quo. No one was able to gain an upper hand on anybody between Stevens, Mounier, Jakob and Fletcher at the end of that one. But it's Maciej Winnick. He took 2 wins last season. Across the whole season, he's just had 2 wins in a 3-race stretch. What an unbelievable run of form he's getting in. Carlos Martin as well, his 2nd podium of the season. He only had the 1 last year, and that was his race win in Abu Dhabi. He is fitting right at home to his sort of new team at Holland Racing. Wow, what a performance. What a beautifully executed strategy from the HRT guys. It was all about Jarl Tyne and THR there in qualifying. Even with Minnick only 1,000th away, Tyne was able to get the early advantage, start pulling away at the start of this race. But as soon as we got to the end of that first stint, it became clear where the game plan was for Holland Racing Team, and they executed perfectly. It's Maciej Winnick who takes the win, a 1-2 for Holland Racing Team as they smash into each other, with Carlos Martin 2nd place doing their donuts, getting the screensaver, I'm sure, although maybe with a bit of a damaged car there. Jarl Tyne rounds out the podium with Tom Stevens in 4th place. It's Loic Mounier 5th, Norbert Jakob in P6, Sergio Fletcher in 7th, Mark Schluter is 8th, to cap up a pretty decent home performance for the True North squad. Aaron Vasquez, a fantastic drive from 27th on the grid up to 9th place. Alessandro Maggio rounds out the top 10 of Valet Esports. Elsewhere, Javi Rose leads the Adonis charge in P11. Shimon Frelich, our sole TOP driver, a pretty quiet race from him. He ends up in P12. Jose Soriano, the reigning SL2 champ, was 13th, with Yannick Bock recovering to 14th after those opening lap incidents. Great to see him working his way back up. Then it was Philip Pushka, Sven Schubert, Jeffrey Fournier, Thomas Vac, Lucas Murno, and Juho Soppinen 19th and 20th. Soppinen, great to see him having a pretty steady race after he's been having a lot of flack recently from others for his performances, but good to see him standing in, keeping out of harm's way and getting it done. Tom van der Voort was our final driver on the road in 21st, also a lap down. And then DNFing from this one, Eros Masculi, Dylan Fisher, Owen McGorgy, both Super Venturis in Yasso Latinen and Jukka-Pekka Laulu. Che Hatch, whose Super League debut lasted about 3 corners, and Moritz Kropp, who didn't even make it to turn number 1. What a chaotic and crazy race that was in Canada, Ed. And what a wonderfully executed strategy that was from the Holland Racing Team. A fantastic 1-2 from the squad. And just a wonderful performance all round from the drivers and the team.
Yeah, absolutely. And clearly a lot of work went into that because they were basically the only team to really successfully pull off the two-stop and get both cars to lock out the first two places then, which is a rarity for Holland Racing Team. We're used to seeing that from the likes of a THR, but not from HRT then, who have had a lean couple of past few seasons. Now they've finally got their winning machine in Mathieu Milnek into gear. Who knows what could follow next. And in terms of Soppinen, by the way, I was just looking, his fastest lap time was only about 2 tenths slower than his teammate Lucas Murno then. So I think that's actually a pretty good day's work for Zeeuw, even though he was 44 seconds in arrears, admittedly, a little bit less experienced, but nonetheless, I think that is something to hold on to. And Zeeuw, is asked for an interview apparently. He sent me just talking about you, Zeeuw. Anyway, but yeah, there we go. I guess Vincent Gert has put no interviews in his name. So that's quite telling. But yeah, anyway, I agree with you completely. I think HRT really made their strategy work the best, and I think THR were they made the best of their strategy. They defended very, very well, but I think the win was always going to be a little bit out of reach for Yaltan once Milnek and Martin just made that amazing progress in the first two stints.
Absolutely. Should we get on with some interviews and first of all speak to our race winner? Of course, the second race victory he has had this season, the second in 3 rounds as well. Maciej, wow, what a drive from you. What a strategy and a 1-2 for the team as well. Your second win of the season. You must be absolutely delighted.
Yeah, the best feeling, not only to win, but being here with Carlos in second, bringing HRT's 1-2 first in like, I don't know how long.
We don't either. That's how long.
Yeah, probably maybe decades, I don't know. But no, the race, it was very good. At the beginning, I dropped Jarl. From Jarl, but I was managing to keep the good pace with good tire management. And when I saw him pitting lap 20, I was like, okay, he's on a free stopper. But I guess when THR noticed, and probably True North as well, that I'm extending, Carlos is extending, and I think Loic as well, then they might have switched to two-stop. And yeah, we just managed to pull off a better two-stop, and with tire offset after each pit stop. It was, I don't want to say it was easy, but I definitely, my job wasn't as hard with the tire offset.
Well, we're hearing, by the way, Maciej, according to Peter Davies Racing in the live chat, the HRT has never had both cars on the podium before this season. So not only first double podium for the team, but it is definitely the team's first 1-2. So they will be absolutely delighted with that. Well, Stefan Rutring, who's the team principal, if memory serves. Ditan, there we go. I messed up his name in his moment of triumph. Right, anyway, this is what happens when you invite me back for Super League, apparently.
We'll be throwing a big party. So, yeah.
Absolutely, very well deserved. But anyway, yeah, not much to add from my end, Maciej. Brilliantly executed strategy. Second win of the season, and I'm sure definitely not the last. So, yeah, congratulations and all glory to HRT.
I was hoping to be back here around Monza because I have my one-offs, but I'm happy to be here much sooner. Thank you.
One last question from me, Maciej, before we let you go and speak to your teammate. That now puts you up to second place in the championship table, only 16 points away from Loic Moynier at the front as well. So is this the start of a championship challenge from you?
I hope I will do all I can do to try and close the gap to Loic and fight for this championship, both in drivers and with Carlos in constructors as well. We'll do our best to try and achieve it, both of those.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Maciej, another race win, a fantastic performance. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great to speak then to our race winner in Maciej Młynek, and given it was an HRT 1-2, we may as well speak to the man in second place and his second podium of the season as well, Carlos Martin. We just talked to Maciej about what a great drive you both had. I mean, the strategy was perfect. You both drove brilliantly. You had some brilliant moves in there as well. That double overtake into the final chicane and the team's first ever 1-2 as well. Run us through how you're feeling.
That's how I feel. we knew that the car was pretty good in the race pace, and proof of it that we were 15 seconds slower than our testing today. It was not ideal, the qualifying. I did some mistakes, but everyone was very competitive in the qualifying. I think at most could have been like a P7 or P8. And well, then I knew it was cooked. Well, I felt it was cooked. And then in the start, I had a contact with Mark, and then the car started understeering like crazy. And I was actually losing so much in the corners. But since everyone was, I don't know, like 8 or 9 kph less than us, besides the THR group, yeah, I was kind of just waiting for the opportunity, and then they had a lot of tire wear as well. So we just took them one by one. I still think that the fastest stop was the 3-stop, but nobody like full committed to it, and maybe Jarl will have been a bigger threat if he actually full committed to the 3-stop. But super happy, of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's not obviously your first season with the team. You've done a couple races with them before, but it's your first full season with HRT. You've already got 2 podiums out the way. You're up to 4th place in the driver's standings. The team is leading pretty comfortably in the constructors as well. You know, it's all looking good at the moment.
Yeah, but job's not done. There is 10 races to go. It's such a long championship, and I think in the previous years, DHR demonstrated that they are super strong in this middle part of the season. And I think even though they didn't win today, they did a step forward, because normally their weak link was the qualifying performance. And today they were clearly on that pace, so I think they are still the favorites, and we have quite some job to do in tracks that overtaking is very difficult, like Imola or Silverstone, that are the upcoming races.
Absolutely. Ed, anything from you for 2nd place, Carlos Martin?
Well, as I said to your teammate, congratulations, Carlos, on another great result. It's great to talk to you again. I just was wondering, was today's result more satisfying for you than 2 years ago? Obviously, I know it's very, very emotional, and you sounded very emotional when you joined the call as well when we started talking. Does this mean more to you as a sort of big team result, knowing that you and Matche have absolutely perfected it both together, or was the individual first win a bigger deal?
No, I mean, first made an individual first win. It's even more, and especially with the moment that my friends were having a big struggle at that point, it was a bigger one on a personal level. From team perspective, it was fantastic. From P11, it was very difficult to make all these positions. So yeah, it was a bit unexpected, although we knew that the car was up there. And a fun fact, Matche uses a completely different setup than me. I think the only thing that was the same was the rear wing and the front wing, but the rest was completely different, like the way the car gripped and so on. I was more on the rear dancing, and he is like completely rear planted. Just baffled how he can drive, and in a track that he was supposed to be weak by his driving characteristics, he was ultra mega strong as well. So sky is the ceiling for him right now.
Well, I come back for one race and you pull off an amazing double move at the final chicane on both Tom and Norbert right as I'm commentating. So thanks for putting on a show. It's almost like you knew I was watching, Carlos. So cheers for that. And enjoy a well-earned 2nd place of the season. I'm sure we're going to see another win before the end, the way you're driving, no doubt, Carlos.
If we are able to keep this position in constructors, I don't give a damn if we don't win. If I don't win a race, Matche can take the first sword, and I'll be glad and happy to follow him back if I can.
I believe it's nearly 40 points now, the lead. So let's see.
No, it's not. It's 10 races to go. No. Mm-hmm. THR are the favorites and are still in the best place to win it, even though they are not leading. I'm telling you now. that's how much respect you have to put on them.
Well, they've certainly done it before. So thanks for talking to us,
Yeah.
Carlos, and enjoy the P2.
Yeah, thank you.
Great to hear from Carlos Martin, as always. Yaltine has just joined the interview room, so it'll be great to speak to our third place driver. Oh, well, I was going to try and drag Sergio Fletcher in, but he's just left. So let's see if we can drag
He's
Yaltine.
come back. He's come back as well. We can get him.
No, he's come. Well, we'll get him back in a bit. Let's speak to our third place driver then, Yaltine first. Great timing from him to join the waiting for the interview room. Yal, I mean, wow, what a crazy race from you guys. I mean, took the pole position by the absolute skin of your teeth, and then looked like you had the early pace, and then unfortunately you just didn't quite have the strategy gods on your side today, but still a really, really solid P3 from you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I had a clear head going into this one because I didn't do a single lap until Monday night, and just entering this race kind of completely different. And the second I joined doing laps, it was just all about qualifying, and I clearly see it paid off, and the race was just so much easier from the front. Every single race for 2 to 3 years now, I've just focused on the race, and kind of puts me on the back foot in terms of qualifying, you know. Even though you have the best race setup, having to constantly fight a bunch of people to get through isn't obviously optimal, so this race was pretty easy in that sense. But yeah, you could say the strategy was slightly off, but at the same time, something I'm assuming you guys haven't mentioned is I'm on a 70% engine, both the HRTs are on 100% engine, which is close to one or one.
Oh, that's I thought it was you that had the fresh engine. It was Tom that had the 70%.
Yeah, so the pace of a new engine is worth around a tenth to tenth and a half, and I finished 7 seconds off Milnek, which is, you know, a tenth a lap, 7 seconds. It would have been very close had I had a 100% engine as well. So despite the worst quote-unquote strategy, it would have been very close, I think. Another important factor is I expected a lot more people to undercut both the HRTs, so I think, yes, the most optimal strategy was to extend the mediums, but I expected the HRTs to get undercut by a lot more people, which they weren't, so they were able to just, without traffic, catch up to both me and Tom. But yeah, I think both of them just made no mistakes anyway, so they were just very, very strong in general. So even if, like I said, I had 100% engine and a slightly more optimal strategy, it would have been very close. But yeah, it was a fun race, and like I said, very, very easy to drive.
Well, yeah, interesting that we were given the wrong information about you having the fresh motor then. So that's a twist at the end of it, I suppose. But yeah, you know, you talked about extending that medium stint. You guys came in really, really early, like earlier than basically everybody else from the opening stint. Was that just because you wanted to get onto the soft tyres, or was it a case of you thought everyone else was also going to do that and you were a bit caught out when people stayed out?
No, I wasn't surprised people went longer, but I think the softs were just a better race tire. For me, I was able to extend the softs longer than I did the mediums, and you know, I did 21 laps on mediums and I did 26 laps on soft at the end, so for me it was just a better race tire because it was more grippy. I didn't slide as much, and I was able to keep them in check. I struggled within the middle stint. I lost a ton of time at the end of the second stint, which probably could have been avoided with a better tire management, but overall I don't think I could have done, even if I had a better strategy, I don't think I could have done much to stop the HRTs.
Still, a really solid performance from yourself, though. Second podium of the season as well, which I'm sure you'll be very happy with at the very least. Ed, any questions for Yaltine?
No, I just agree with y'all because I noticed that in that second stint he was losing like 0.3 per sector. But yeah, amazing car control, y'all, to get on pole by just a thousandth of a second. You said you focused on qualifying and it just paid off because Matche was very much chomping at the bit. It was that first sector that really set you up well on that qualifying lap. So yeah, fantastic to watch. You gave us a good fight, and yeah, well done on your second podium of the season. I'm sure we're going to see you on the top of the winners rostrum before too long again soon.
Yes, thank you guys, and thank you again for being here day in, day out in terms of...
It's my first day of the year, but okay.
No, you've done like everything else, Ed, to be fair. You've been a very busy man the last couple of weeks. But yeah, thanks a lot, Jarl. Yeah, behind the scenes, yeah. Thanks a lot, Jarl, and a great performance out there. Well done.
Thank you.
Well, great to speak to Yartine then. I think we'll probably leave it there because I was going to speak to Sergio Fletcher, but they're now doing that thing where they're using the Wait for the Interview channel on the Discord to now have arguments post-race with everybody and show everyone their different crashes.
Or is it rude to just drag them in? Because that's what I've been doing in FS1.
I mean, we can do. It's up to you. But I'm easy. I'm happy to leave it there. I'm happy to get someone else in. You can call the shots, Ed.
We've got 7 minutes to 10. We could probably fit one more in if we really wanted to. But
Yuho's asked for one to be
either
fair,
Fletcher or Vasquez, I think, would be the two standouts. I know Yuho was begging for an interview, but
yeah. Well, let's see if we can actually get Sergio in once again. Then we'll get Aaron, and then we'll get Yuho in for a quick couple of questions. Sorry about that, Sergio. We tried to drag you in earlier, and then Carlos ended up waffling on for like an extra minute, so you left again. But you're here now. But yeah, great performance from you and the Valley Esports squad as well. I can understand if you're maybe a little bit disappointed with 7th place. You kind of got stuck there at the end a little bit, especially with that win last time out of Malaysia. But still, a really solid race from yourself and keeping yourself in the championship fight as well.
I mean, yeah, that was really frustrating there at the end because I was being held back a lot and they were pulling away from me on slipstream, so that's how much the engine was doing. So yeah, I practically got stuck. It was like a brick wall. I think it could have been P4, but yeah, seeing the amount of DNFs and seeing where Loic finished is not that bad. I didn't lose that many points to him, so that's what I'm focusing on right now.
Yeah, again, we saw you trying to get through over those last couple of laps, and seemingly every attack you were making just couldn't quite get it done, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Was it just a case of that everyone was just kind of running so equal pace, there was just no way through?
Yes, and they had the newer engines, so they were getting a good drive out of the hairpin, which was the critical point to get an overtake done. So yeah, at least I had some good fights with Loic. I don't know if they were showing the stream, but yeah, I think they had less wings, so they could afford. They could save more battery than me. Basically, I had more wings, so eventually I had to give up the position. I had no battery.
Well, still, it's another very solid top 10. You've only had one race outside of the top 10, and you're continuing to pick up more and more points. So, is the game plan just keep being consistent and see where we wind up come the back end of the season?
Yes, game plan is staying consistent and just focusing on Loic, which is the most important threat. Obviously, with this win today from HRT, I think with the team's standings, they got a huge lead. But I don't know how the Drivers' Championship is looking, but I think it's tightening up at the top.
You are a point ahead of Carlos, 73 points at the moment, 6 behind Milnek, and about 22 behind Loic.
So Moynick overtook me on points.
Yes,
by 6 points.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
It's close. It's close.
Yeah, so there's going to be those 3 drivers and going to focus on the 2 HRTs and Loic, basically.
Oh, awesome. Final question from me, Sergio. How excited are you for Imola? Good track for you?
Yes. We had a really good win there in FSR 2 years ago.
I remember,
with
yes,
Alex.
I was commentating on it.
So, yeah, that was a really nice race, and I have good memories from it. So, and I really like the track. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Looking forward to the break as well. It's a bit of a, disconnect.
Yeah, I don't think you're the only one with that mindset, but still, a really solid race from you, Sergey. More solid points. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Not a problem. Good to speak to Sergio Fletcher. Let's now see if we can drag Aaron Vasquez in and get a couple words out of him after another fantastic drive. Aaron, last on the grid, in essence, P27 to P9 at the end of it. Another brilliant drive from yourself after a great win 2 days ago in Superlights. Talk us through it.
Yeah, it was like unexpected result because starting from P27 in this track, it would be like a mission to recover positions because the crashes in the first lap could have finished my race really earlier, but like with lucky, I got like really lucky with the crashes, so I could avoid them, all of them. And then after the first lap, my idea was like 3 stops from the beginning, so it was like push every lap. So it's what I did basically, and after the first stop, I see that my pace was really good compared to the rest of the field. So the strategy was going well until that moment, but there was like a contact with Sven in some point. So I lost like 13 seconds in that moment, and I say, okay, maybe it's not what I wanted to have in this moment, but it was okay. So I continue with my pace, just relax myself with the crash and everything. I could manage all of like the angry I was with that, and I could have like finished much more ahead, but still really happy with the P9.
We saw there was no contact between you, but we saw you had a bit of an incident into turn number 1 with Sven Schubert, and I understand you're not particularly impressed with what happened. Do you want to talk us through your perspective on it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful with him. I'm fine with it. Like, I'm mad because it's not like something I was expecting from him. Also being teammates like 1 month ago, 2 months ago, so I was expecting more like respect from himself. But basically, I was like overtaking in the back straight with push to pass and DRS, and looks like he let me by, I think. And then I just went a little bit wide on the chicane, so I got like a little bit bad exit, but I still having the DRS compared to him, that he didn't get the DRS, so I was still like with the speed, so he couldn't attack me, but he used the wall push to pass to overtake me for some reason, when he was a little bit slower than me, I think, and he literally sent me the car from 0-2 or something like that, and he just went so wide that also I lost the car with him, because if I'm not trying to avoid the crash, I will probably crashing with him. So I just try to avoid and I spin myself. But yeah, what I think about it is like he should stay behind me, because he was not like in the same pace as me, and his tires were worse, I think, in my opinion. So if you stay behind of me, you can follow me and you can like lose much less time that he lost with that move, I think, in my opinion. So both we lost, and I think it was not right, but it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you still were able to get up to a really solid P9 even with that incident. You know, it could have been more potentially, but that's racing, I suppose. Ed, any questions for Aaron Vasquez?
Well, just praise, really. You said you got lucky on the first couple of laps with all the incidents happening in front of you. I think that was actually just really good instincts and car control in order to swerve around all of that. And obviously, the incident with Schubert disappointing, but staying out really long in that middle stint meant you got mixed it with the leaders and actually held your own for a long time as well. So I was impressed by that, and it looked a little bit like you were trying to hold up Tom Stevens in the pack behind to back them into your teammate Loic Mounier. Was that part of the plan, or was it just you needed to extend the stint so you could really push the tires at the end and catch Maggio?
No, basically my idea was 3 stops, like I said. So my idea was pit in the lap 20 with the mediums and do like 16, 17, 17 with the softs. So yeah, my idea was basically just push all the time, like was not like safe or go longer with any tires. So yeah, that was my plan. But also another thing I was not expecting too much in the race was like in one of the stints I was with like 70 tire wear, and some people start with the new tires behind me, and I was expecting like they could like pass me so easily, but for some reason I keep the pace so good with the 70% of tire wear already. And
you wouldn't happen to have a fresh engine, Aaron, in that car, would you?
Yeah. That's also one of the reasons probably too. But I don't know, I was like a little bit like confused, because my pace was really good with the like tire wear I was having. So I was a little bit surprised, but also happy in that part. Like I hold so much the people with new tires, and I could have like get much more advantage that I was thinking I will be getting. So I'm really happy in that part too. But yeah, my plan was like what I did in the race. Just sadly I lost time with the things I got, but it is what it is. It's racing, so it's fine.
Absolutely. Well, you were very impressed today. Every time I commented you before in GPV, you've not had much luck. So I'm glad finally the Edward Hunter curse is broken for Aaron Vasquez. So yeah, all the best, Aaron. And yeah, onwards and upwards for next time we see you in the Super League.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. See you.
Great to speak to Aaron Vasquez there. Let's get one last one in quickly, because I know he wanted to talk to us. So we'll grab a couple of words out of Juho Soppinen. Juho, a much more quiet race for you this time, shall we say. Of course, started from the pit lane, but just kept to yourself, and you were showing some really solid pace there.
Yeah, pretty solid pace, honestly. And, well, not bad with a dodgy left leg still. And honestly, I think today we could have squeezed more. Could have been a good quali, but in the end I crashed out. And, well, I mean, it is what it is. There are a lot of ifs and how and what could have been done today, but either way, a solid race, and yeah, no DNFs this time around.
No, absolutely. Again, you kind of you kept to yourself, and really a massive improvement from last time out, which is of course what you wanted to see, what we wanted to see, what everybody wanted to see. So, are you happy with how it all went overall?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy how it went, honestly. I mean, to be fair, I haven't got much practice in this race because, well, some physiotherapist things going on still. By the way, hey, it's good. It's still good. It's a solid result. I mean, I don't have to shave my head this time round because I didn't get the points.
No, fair enough. Are we expecting to see any more Super League appearances from you in the meantime? Of course, we've got a bit of a break to the next round, so maybe you're not certain, but anything in the works?
I think one last dance should give it everything because, I mean, to be fair, I might be completely taking a little break after one more Super League race from the whole sim racing thing because obviously I have to recover. I have a surgery that will squeeze in basically most of the time, and yeah, hopefully I'll be back in 2027 if I won't race much this year. But yeah, either way, for sure I'll be commentating here, and obviously, yeah, I think 2026 comes to an end soon for me. A bit early, but that's all fine, honestly. It's fun to be here, of course, even in the commentary box, but also on track as well.
No, absolutely. Ed, anything for you, Ho?
No, it's just good to see you get to. There was all that chaos going near the laps, and I saw at the very start, I think somebody tapped you in the back into the 8-9 chicane, and there was all that sort of chaos. I think it was it Latanen that hit the back of you in the Super Bowl?
No, he never actually hit my back. I just saw everything from the front seats, and of course, well, I mean, I wish I had popcorn right now, honestly, to see this whole thing happening. But hey, at least the beer would do it right now.
Well, best of luck recovering from the operation, Yuho. And yeah, it's good to come back to commentary because I ended up having to fill in, me and Owen had to fill in for Academy on Monday, so we could do it with an extra, I was going to say pair of hands, but your mouth is really all we need, not your legs. At least if that's working, and it sounds like it is, then you'll be in good company. So anyway, always great to hear from you, Yuho, and yeah, thanks for putting on a decent show for us and being within about 2/10 of your teammate Murno's best lap as well. So I think that was a very good.
Oh. Yeah, he's cheeky. He took that away from me. I'm a bit salty from that, but hey, he did a good job, by the way. And obviously, recovering from that damage. I mean, sure, we didn't get points, but well, I mean, solid race. I mean, of course, we did what we had to do.
Exactly. Well, thanks for talking to you, and have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Cheers.
Great to hear there from Juho Soppinen. A very solid race from him, and that'll be us done for this evening. Then, Ed, a fantastic race that we've seen. Some brilliant battles going on as well. That was a fantastic affair.
Yeah, for one night only, unless anything else crops up. Ed Hunter back in the Super League commentary box. So it was great fun to cover it with you, Ross. And yeah, I think HRT just taking the gamble when only really Aaron Vasquez was the only one doing that free stop strategy as well. It really turned out because they were the only ones doing it. They had the straight line speed, they had the tire life, they were able to get to the front, and all of a sudden we are looking at a very, very competitive championship with 4 drivers win about 22-23 points of each other. So yeah, this second part of the season could get very, very interesting if it continues to be so up and down between all of our main contenders, and THR as well now finally starting to catch up as well. So yeah, lots to play out, and yeah, I'm sure you, Caitlin, and whoever else subs in the commentary box is going to enjoy covering it.
Well, we're looking forward to it. We do, of course, have a bit of a break now. That is the spring break coming up next, so we won't be back. GPVWC in general won't be back for a little while. Our next round, we kick off the European leg of the season. Round number 7, we'll be heading to Imola for the San Marino Grand Prix on the 18th of June. So you've got a bit of time away, a bit of time to rest, relax, and regain your focus before we jump back into the crazy world that is GPVWC Super League. Of course, there'll be plenty of Formula Sprint 2 1 and Super Lights action on before then, because of course they all race before the Super League Kais come
Yes,
round.
we do.
But again, yeah, there's a bit of a break. When's the next FS1 race said?
I don't remember.
At some point. It's before the next one.
It's the Thursday before, yes. Yeah.
There we go. So a week before our next race, you can catch Ed in the FS1 chaos. But we'll next be back for Super League on the 18th of June. Imola, San Marino. We'll see you there.